TruthSeekah and/or its affiliates are not responsible for any strange phenomena that may occur during or after listening to this podcast, which may include the following: heightened senses of awareness, psychic abilities, UFO sightings, alien contact, time loss, out-of-body experiences, ringing in the ears, ESP, lucid dreaming, increased synchronicities, astral projection, telepathy, stronger intuition, levitation, miraculous healings, and/or remote viewing. Please be advised to listen at your own discretion.
Won't you come and take me away? I just wanna be with you. Won't you come and take me away? To a place to walk on troubled seas, faith to stand when I don't believe. I just wanna be with you. Won't you come and take me away? I just wanna be with you. Won't you come?
You are now locked into the TruthSeekah podcast.
Gargoyles! Psychics! Everything's ungodly! Dark's at it!
Streaming live at TruthSeekah.com.
She's not a Christian!
Give it up, y'all.
Your portal to the paranormal, esoteric, and all things spiritual.
She's tampering in dark's at it stuff!
And now, your host, TruthSeekah.
Yo, ladies and gentlemen, what's up? I'm your host, TruthSeekah. This is the TruthSeekah podcast. Excited and delighted to be with you guys again today. We're going to be covering all things spirituality, and it's going to be a good one. We're going to be talking about community today as well. Different people, different names, and figures in the community. And we're just going to kind of give our takes on some things that's going on and talk about some of the work that my friends are doing here. So before we go any further, I want to say a quick thank you to everybody who is supporting my work via Patreon. I couldn't do this without your help. So a huge shout out to you guys who've been supporting, some of you for the longest time, ever since I started. So thank you for that. And give a quick shout out by name, some of the newest people here within the last week or so. Give a shout out to Lewis, Canal Revolution. Shout out to you. You joined us on the stream last night. Thank you for coming on the Patreon. Jarrett Tabor. Thank you, Jarrett. Dale Rake. Thank you as well. Jonathan, Tiger King, Sherry Elaine. Thank you guys for coming on, believing in my work, and being enablers for me to do this. So thank you. It means the world to me. If you would like to support, head on over to patreon.com/TruthSeekah. There you get access to my entire discography of music, all of the past stuff that I've put out, exclusive podcasts, behind the scenes interviews, all types of cool stuff. And every time I get done with a song, when I record something, it's immediately uploaded to Patreon. So I'm working on 2 EPs right now. One is the Colors EP, which is about the chakras. So it's a 7-song EP about chakras influenced. And then the next one that I'm working on is the ESP EP, Extrasensory Perception. So 2 of those I'm working on right now, and there's a bunch of tracks already available via Patreon. You get access to that stuff immediately. Also, our Thursday night School of the Mystic sessions that we do. So that's tonight. If you're listening live, if you're listening on the podcast, try to catch us on Thursday nights at 7 p.m. Central. Every Thursday night we do the School of the Mystics, and you get access for that to that for supporting as well. So all that cool stuff, patreon.com/TruthSeekah. And so, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and jump into today's podcast. I'm going to bring my guest in now. We have Core, the Occult Priestess. How are you, Core?
Good morning, everyone. Happy sunshine from California. Happy to be here on TruthSeekah.
Early for you guys, both of y'all.
Well, you know, we fight the good fight. We do what we got to do. We set alarms.
That's what's up. And Aurora, this is my first time meeting you. You're friends with Core, so welcome to the broadcast as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me here this morning. And yes, I'm prepared with coffee. I'm ready to go.
But you did say decaf.
Completely. I'm decaf. I'm very natural. I don't do any kind of thing like that.
Awesome. Good stuff. Yeah. I usually have my coffee, but I'm drinking protein this morning, so I got a little bit.
That's probably even better for your brain.
Yeah. Good stuff. So, yeah, let's just start off by just giving a quick introduction about what you guys do, what you guys bring to the table. Core, if you just want to give a quick introduction, we'll start with you.
Hi, I'm the Occult Priestess. The occult means hidden from the uninitiated. And that doesn't mean initiated by Masons or people. We're initiated by heaven. And so that's a whole topic right there. I'm at occultpriestess.com, and I've been in this community since, not a California community, I've been in the spiritual community since I was 14 years old. I'm now 44, and I've had 2 bookstores, which were called occult shops. And I had community stuff I did. I started a witch's ball, all kinds of things. So I have a huge history. And I've just come to California to work with this community. God sent me here. And so that's kind of my story in a nutshell, very quickly.
Awesome. Aurora?
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, so I'm Aurora. I'm a galactic walk-in. And what that means is that I'm really an abstract presence. Like if you can see my dress, I've got like abstract patterns printed on my dress. I'm not usually an occupant of a body that has 1 face and 2 arms and 2 legs. And I came into this body about 17 years ago through this genetic portal. If anyone who's on the video feed can see, I'm holding up a shape that's this rainbow colored sculpture that represents this flying rainbow lasagna or higher dimensional torus shape. So that's really pretty much why I'm here, embodied in the human form. I have this information to share that is basically about a new shape, a new topology, a new way of folding the fabric of time, space, and consciousness, which is also related to the shape of your DNA. So changing on a cellular level, changing on a spiritual or purely energetic level. And the whole crux of the work is being able to achieve greater degrees of freedom. So that's it. I've been able to achieve greater degrees of freedom. And I say this is like a tool for the way that you do that. And I love to teach people all about it. So yeah, I do an online, I do for my own expression, I do paintings and drawings and sculptures and animations. And I also have it organized into a participatory online class because I want everybody to be able to learn about this and apply it to their own life experience. And so the best way to find me is flyingrainbowlasagna.com, where it's like you can check out, videos and artwork and animations and all of that type of stuff.
Awesome. Quick question here. So you said about 17 years ago you came into this form. What does that mean? Can you unpack that?
She's a walk-in. It's so cool. Tell them all about it.
Yeah, so I'm a walk-in, and I didn't have that word to describe myself when I first came here. Basically, the previous occupant of this physical body, the person who lived in the body for the first 27 years of its existence, was murdered. That she was killed, and it was like a psychic attack, and it was she was being targeted by dark forces, and there was a real metabolic death of the body. So it's not just an ego death. Like I've learned subsequently, some people tell me, "Oh, I took a lot of LSD and I had an ego death," and I'm not
totally different.
Yeah, it's more the type of thing where the cellular structure, the body had a physical metabolic death and would have died and decomposed if literally, I would say, a miracle or a grace of, really a divine abstraction held the body together so that I could perform this unusual genetic maneuver, I as an abstraction, and come into this body. So this is like a type of music, this shape. It's like, that's the song of the Flying Rainbow Lasagna. And I started to play this new song with this body that allowed me as a non-terrestrial presence to come into this body. And has also allowed me to do a lot of things that would be seemingly impossible, like heal a lot of the neurological damage that was in the body as a result of the death. Like I should have been a vegetable in bed. I shouldn't have been able to even walk and talk. Clearly I walk, I talk, I play the piano, I make artwork, I do all sorts of things. So yeah, I joke that I do 12 impossible things just before breakfast. And so I hold this up as like, a symbol for healing also, that anybody who's got some kind of seemingly impossible physical impediment in your life, it can be transcended through doing what would be considered rewriting the rules of reality, bending the rules of reality, but not breaking them.
Awesome. before we go into a lot more detail on that, it would be awesome to have you on as a guest by yourself, because we can do a good hour just on that. Because that's a new term to me. I may have heard it in passing, but a walk-in, I really want to unpack that, and we'll have to do a full episode on that. So that's really cool.
I happily accept. I would love to. Not to interrupt you. Thank you.
Yeah, no. Is there anybody that you would say, maybe celebrities or anybody, notable that's happened to? Maybe a lot. There's always this weird shift that kind of happens in celebrities, people we get to see. Kanye West, Eminem, and they like to say that, okay, that person's been cloned, that person died, and now we have a new version of Eminem or Kanye West. So is that could that be linked together with this whole walk-in thing?
So it's us there. What we're talking about is soul transfer or consciousness transfer being used using technology. And so, yeah, when you say like someone's been cloned, essentially what has happened is their consciousness or presence or sense of self has been taken out of one container through technology, like a Zapgon or a computer or something like that, and placed into a different container. And what I did was non-technological. So that's a big distinction between myself as a non-terrestrial. My whole gig is not using technology. And I try to share this with everyone. I'm not a transhumanist, and I try to tell everyone, you can do everything that you need to do in terms of inner expansion, like having greater degrees of freedom, just with your birthday suit. That we don't need to have any kind of technology, magic ray gun, magic elixirs, nothing external to ourselves. So that's what I embody in my experience. But there are lots of other space races that do use technology, and they're the ones that have been doing that type of manipulation of taking people out of particular bodies or forms and putting them into other bodies and forms. So yeah, I would say what's happened to people like Kanye or Eminem or some of these other celebrities, they're being exploited. Like it's a very harmful, unhealthy thing that's going on. It's not like a natural thing. And my thing, it was not exploitation. Like I had to learn that when I first came here, that people would misinterpret me through this filter and think that I was a body snatcher. Be like, no, guys, I'm not a body snatcher. I'm allowed to be here. And like I said, it's like I'm not breaking the rules by being here. So I draw a distinction between that. But yeah, there's all different flavors of walk-in. So this transformation, it could be something malevolent that takes over an embodied human, and then they're not themselves anymore, but there's something creepy inside of them. Or it can be the opposite, which is me, which is something uplifting. My whole thing is about love and freedom, and that's it. I'm not here to impose anything, control anybody else, own anybody else. I'm really here to be an artist and a musician and create things and collaborate with others too, because it's way more fun to play with an entire symphony than to just play your own music. So, and in every single way, I'm trying to demonstrate to everyone, like, I'm cool. I'm not here like some thirsty monster, but I know that there are some pretty horrific beings that are here. And it's a battle. It's a spiritual war between these different factions.
Derek, you'll understand that TruthSeekah, that you'll understand that So there's a film called K-Pax, and that's K-PAX, and it is a film about a walk-in, and it does show the process, at least enough for you to grok it, enough for you to understand it. There are several walk-in authors, mostly past. Lom Sang Rumpa. Do you know how to say that correctly, Aurora? Lom Sang Rumpa is a famous walk-in. He was a plumber, and then all of a sudden he was a mystic. But also you'll understand what possession is versus a walk-in, because I know you probably know about possession. Mm-hmm. It's the language that's the issue. We're really talking about the same things.
Christopher was a walk-in. I had to make the joke. That's awesome though, man. Yeah, so it's very interesting. Very interesting. And like I said, we'll have to do a whole episode just based on that. So
it's her soul that walked in.
That's right. That's right. A different consciousness than the consciousness that used to be here. Mm-hmm. And the person that's here now is like a loving, benevolent person, not a horrible, bloodthirsty monster that wants to take over your planet. Okay.
So would the former occupant be conscious of what happened, or where is that soul?
That's so, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. That person was literally destroyed. And that is the impetus that I was very, very offended by seeing this great injustice. Like a soul is something that can last for forever, but it should be indelible. But imagine using some technological way to like erase it or destroy it. That's what these evil malevolent users of non-terrestrial technology were doing to the person that used to have this body. They were frying her soul into a state of non-existence. And I was like, that not okay, not okay. And the way that things work at a higher dimensional level, like you don't stand on a cloud and wave your magic wand and, make something happen. In order to make something happen, you do it from the first person experience. So I said, hey, what is going on there is not cool. And I stepped in and, we tried to rectify what was happening by this new maneuver that I created. But yeah, I'm sorry. Also, like, it can be a challenging topic. Sometimes like it's hard to look at it directly because it was very traumatic, very difficult thing to experience. It was a real death, real torture, real pain. So yeah, that person was destroyed. And people would sometimes ask me, like, what happened to her? Is she in heaven now? Like, I can't lie to you and say, oh, she's in heaven and everything is so great. Like, no, everything is not so great. She was, horribly tortured to death and then destroyed. And that is not okay that goes on any level in reality.
And one of the reasons why I believe in walk-ins, I'm super psychic. I have been my whole life. And when I had my Kundalini rising and God started talking to me and everything was alive, I was in the soul realm, but I was in a physical body. I went crazy and my friends put me in a psych ward. And at that time, I was approached by a guide. It was actually Dion Fortune. She's an author from a past life. And she asked me, would you like me to walk in? And I said, no. I grabbed my flesh and I was like, no, because I knew what that meant. I knew I would go somewhere else and I had too much work here to do. And my soul refused. So I got the offer too.
Wow. So there's people who have passed and they're petitioning people to say, hey, if you're done with your body, I'd love to.
Well, no, see, she was a spiritual warrior and I was her spirit guide in the past life when she lived. And in this life, she was helping me. So kind of like a sister thing.
What was the person's name? Dion
Fortune. She was an author around the time of Aleister Crowley and she became his enemy. And so am I. But also know that Aurora is speaking about being a celestial soul from the stars. When I speak about Dion Fortune walking in, it is what we consider a dead person. My soul came to Earth through Sirius B. So I am a star seed originally from Andromeda, long story, but Sirius B is all that matters right now. And so we can't say that Dion Fortune wasn't also originally from Sirius B. It's just a long story.
Aurora, so are you in contact with family members from the celestial realms? Star family? I mean, is that something that's ongoing?
Absolutely. It's a wonderful question. So my life is actually concurrent. It's not like first I was there and then I was here. I'm in two places at the same time. So language makes it challenging to talk about this, and also perception, because I understand most people are having more of a more linear experience. But yeah, while I'm here on a video or doing mundane things, it can be the most normal thing like buying toilet paper. I am also at the same time totally connected to this higher dimensional, realm that is moving at a different rate and doing all sorts of things in that realm. So it's literally one time recently I was in a grocery store and I'm walking around buying toilet paper and this woman comes up to me and she says, you are dancing through all of the DNA of all of the other people that are in this store. And I'm like, first of all, high five, because you're super perceptive. You see what's going on. And also, yeah, like that's my life. That's what I do. So it's a lot of things to be juggling at the same time. It's like, I have a mundane set of responsibilities like everyone. And that's also part of the gig of being here. It's not like I have an easier ride. I got to buy the toilet paper. I got to keep my electricity on, pay my rent, do all of those things. My life would be so easy if all I had to do was like sit on a mountaintop and meditate and everything would be so great. But no, I'm here like submerged in this socioeconomic matrix. So that means I had to learn as Aurora all about money and competition. I didn't understand about any of that stuff. The realm that I come from, the values, it's just about excellence. If you're good at what you do and you do what you're supposed to do, you get everything you need. Like people say, hey, good job, great song, you did it, and here's a bunch of money or energy to keep going. And I had to learn in this place, it's like, no, there's people fighting against each other, and you have to promote yourself and say like, I'm so great, listen to my stuff, buy my stuff. And like, to me, that is very, very unusual to have to do. So like people who watch my videos, they kind of know at this point that I'm not like a huge cutthroat sales pitch marketer. Yeah. I'm more like Yeah, like here, be on my webinars, learn about stuff if you want to. That's my whole approach. I don't send out tons of emails and do all this thing. So at the same time that I'm participating on that level of daily human mundane competition, I'm also connected to, it's a world of pure time. I keep pointing to my dress because it's like an abstract place of possibilities and probabilities. You could almost think of it as a realm of math where there's numerical quantities. Like it could be a 5, it could be a 6, it could be a 7. It's not a reality like a third dimensional reality with faces and cups of coffee and things that we can do in that way. Yeah. And so I'm experiencing all of these things at the same time. So one of the big dichotomies is the value system, the way that my collective works, the non-terrestrial aspect of self. Everyone is incredibly loving and supportive and works together just like the cells of your body. You know, your eyeball cell is not at odds with and fighting your heart cell. Like they work together. They're both essential. So in this group of consciousnesses that I'm part of, we all work together. That's why the idea of competition to me was really, I had to learn about that. I call it the barbarian value system, not to be down on anyone in this time and place.
It's Viking, man. It really is.
Yeah, it's like only the strong shall survive, and the victors go the spoils, and you have to fight for your right to party. And my collective is different, where it's like, oh, you need this so that you can be happy and function and thrive, take it. And then I need this, and I know that I'll get a different approach. So I would love to embody more of that approach here in reality and have more of that. And I'm seeing it. I've been here for 17 years. I'm seeing the value system shift more, where it's about not just profiting for yourself, but making a community and working together and having everybody be recognized for their contribution. Because even if you are like in a band, if you make really, really high notes, like a high piccolo, you should be in the band too. It's not just for the loudest, most amplified voices.
Mm-hmm. So there's a scripture in the Bible that says to be in the world, but not be of it. And it sounds like you kind of have to be a little bit of both. You have to conform to the way things work here, but at the same time try to bridge the gap between this higher state of consciousness and how things really should be done. We shouldn't be, warring to get our art out or say my art's better than them or whatever the case is. And so you kind of got to play both fields a little bit, right?
Totally great description. Yes, I have to have one foot in each reality, and I've had to recalibrate to this reality and understand, well, I would just do it this way, but it's like, I got to lock my car. I got to, do all the things that are about being pragmatic in this world. So yeah, I've had to learn pragmatic ways of moving forward. And also I still embody my value system. So people kind of understand that about me now. And I'm I'm seeing more people kind of hopping on board of the, I don't even know, because it's not like communism or anything like that. It's just like a mutual artistic respect and collaboration approach. Oh, you know who's really good? Bruce Lipton. He's actually a scientist, like a research scientist. And I tell people to check out his work because he promotes this idea of biological cooperative collaboration, as opposed to like in an ecosystem. Humans have been projecting this idea of competition between all of the organisms in an ecosystem, saying like, no, the ants are fighting against the other insects and the plants are fighting against each other and they're all fighting for supremacy. And Bruce Lipton is a good scientist that very, like mundane earth-centered people can say, oh, a scientist is telling me no organisms actually collaborate together and they're not fighting for supremacy. And being able to see it in the natural realm is like, well, wait a minute, maybe we as humans don't have to fight, tooth and nail for supremacy. Maybe we should be doing something similar where we recognize, because the disconnectedness is the lie. The idea that we're separate, like the Corinne and you and me, we are all connected in terms of our economy. Like, where do we get our money from? Well, I get my money from selling something to that guy who sold something to that guy. Like, we are connected on an economic level. We're connected on just the level of breath, our atmosphere in our lungs. We're constantly on an energy level, on a thought level, on a microbial level. Like, the lie is that we are individuated, disconnected beings. And the truth is that we're so profoundly connected. And in sharing these ideas with other people, like kind of when I was here in my earlier, like as I've been here for a while, people would start to say to me, wait a minute, Aurora, if I'm not disconnected from my neighbor and I'm totally connected to everything that's going on to everyone else in society, then I actually have to care about whether they've got good health or whether they've got food or whether
you actually have to care.
And that's it. That because it's almost too much. It's like if you start to let down those firewalls. You're like, well, wait, that guy over there, he needs money, and that guy over there is sick, and that guy over there. You start to feel everybody else's concern, and then you want to help them. And it's like you recognize you have a lot of responsibility. So people like, this is the next level of society that we're moving into, which is basically telepathic, where our individuated minds are beginning to connect through these thought tendrils to other beings, other times and places. And you're not just swimming around in your own private pool in your own mind. You're connected to a big giant ocean. So you got to take responsibility for your thoughts that you send out and also what you perceive from others. So we're just starting to get to the point where everybody is ready to become responsible enough to be telepathic, because you can't just go and you can't just barge into someone else's mind. You got to wipe your feet before you come inside. You got to knock and be polite, say knock, 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 can I come on in? And then not act like a big jerk inside of their mind. And these are all like, we're like little toddlers, like little kids have to learn like how to be polite and how to do this. We are toddlers of the mind, not to condescend. We have to learn how to do all these things like little kids do.
And the word that we're looking for is symbiotic. We have a symbiotic relationship. That's what my spirit guide finally said. It's just one word. And then you have parasites. Symbiotic versus the parasites. Yeah.
Really good point. Not sorry to cut you off, because the parasites, these are these pathogenic invaders that have come to this planet. Those are the beings that killed the former occupant of this body. Like, this is who we struggle against. This is what the spiritual war is. There's parasites that are here sucking life force energy and kind of keeping themselves afloat in a very illegal way. It's against cosmic law. And then there's beings that have connection to the divine, that are really alive, like you and me and my dog and redwood trees and butterflies. And we're supposed to have this life force energy and be here using it responsibly. So it's this whole battle between these two levels of consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Derek, do you have something to say?
Yeah, definitely. So Core, it sounds like what I would assume you go through a little bit of something similar as well, saying that you're from Sirius B, you're from a different place, you're trying to, you were born here or whatever, but being psychic, being able to, you have to buy toilet paper, but your mind is, okay, this person's been through trauma, this person hasn't seen their dad in 16 years, and you're trying to buy toilet paper, and you're picking up on all these energies as well, and you have to stay grounded too. And if you don't do that, it can lead to schizophrenia. It can lead to all types of things if you don't balance the
is just
energy.
A form of possession. All of these things are invaders. They're not, the medical health system really has lied to us, doesn't understand. They're basing it on physical, chemical, and things they cannot prove, literally cannot prove. You can see it doesn't make me very happy. So there's that. But when I went through a Kundalini awakening, which means I was actually in the soul realm, in the body, I could hear people's thoughts, literally, and felt them. And I had this paranoia that they could hear me too. And that's what she's talking about, because I get to live in the future a little bit sometimes because my equipment is very good, if we want to put it that way, but my natural bioluminescence is extremely bright. And therefore I get to have these experiences before the collective has them. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yes, but if you and that I don't know what you want to call it. I mean, it kind of led you to go mad if you don't understand it. But it was not a bad thing. It was
you have to bust through your ego, and the only way I know to do that is to go crazy, because your head is
I had
backwards.
it happen too. Yeah, I did. Happened to me.
Put your head on correctly. Yeah.
But everybody doesn't come back from that. What I'm saying?
That's what I wanted to say is that Earth, I believe in my heart of hearts, knowledge of knowledge, Earth is a school. And this was do or die. You eat the apple, good and evil. You're going to learn both. But your soul, your little light of love, is going to make choices. And your little light of love is going to grow towards the Son of God, or it's going to wilt and die and not take root, and that seed won't take root. Mm-hmm. So therefore, when the seed does get deleted, and that's something the New Age will never, ever tell you, is that there is something that William Blake, the poet, author, he termed it the satanic death, which is the death you do not come back from. Mm-hmm. It's not a hell. There's no consciousness. And that's what happened to Aurora's original inhabitants.
You totally understand, Cor. Thank you for describing
You and I, Aurora, we recognize each other. And I want to tell you, like yesterday on the bus, there was a lady that walked in and started, being loud. And she's like, how about get your own birthday cake holiday? Or how about I'm going to lose weight holiday? Or I'm going vegan holiday. She was making jokes about practical, wonderful things we should do for each other and for ourselves, self-care, and have a holiday about it instead of, the holidays we do have. And I recognized her as soon as she walked on the bus because the way she was dressed. And I turned to the person next to me who I knew, and I said, watch her work, watch her go. And then she caught me, and I'm like, yeah, hi, yeah, I see it. She's like, how about wear a bag on your head holiday? And she went to go put the bag on her head. And I said, you found my holiday. Yes. No, like ego holiday. And she got that too. And believe me, I don't think she's read anything about the ego, but she understood. And then the funniest part was, remember when we didn't have money? Remember when we traded seeds? And she threw the bag at me because she was so excited that it was so funny. She threw the bag at me like, oh my God. So I got to keep the bag and put it on my head if I want to. But we knew that we were workers. She was a worker bee, or an earth angel, or all of these other things, but really we're just more light somehow.
How did, and we can probably ask both of you guys this question, but how did you come out of that dark night, that place of, delusion? Or I know it's an awakening, but it can be the most scariest thing ever. It's like you're being pulled from your mother's womb and you're,
it's a rebirth. You're right. It's not
scary.
Some kind of rebirth where you took it in front of a church. It is actually happening in your body to your soul.
And some people are stillborn. Some people, it happens and it's not good. They don't never
That's
come
why
back
the new
from it.
age is sick, telling everybody is equal and everybody's the same, and you're not in your soul isn't in danger.
Yeah, it's very scary. My heart goes out to those people who are kind of born with these abilities, and they are born very sensitive, and then they go tell their parents or their teachers that when they get around these people, they feel this way, or they hear these voices, or at night this happens and they don't feel right in their own skin, and they give them medicine, and it quiets the voices, and it kind of, kind of numbs them from who they really are.
It stops the third eye from working. The only reason someone can be schizophrenic is because they're partially psychic.
Thank you. And literally some of the pharmaceuticals that are given to people that have depression, anxiety, or psychosis have a chemical ingredient that either floods or closes down the third eye. So that's the Prozac, which is based on like this fluoride, fluoroxetine, that closes down the third eye. So do some of the ones like Xanax, and some of the antipsychotic drugs do the same exact thing. So it's like what Corinne, I'm completely agreeing with you about the inadequacies of the mental health and pharmaceutical. It's all based on molecular structures. And truth, what I would like to say, as when you're reborn and you have to recontextualize, you're like, who am I? Where am I? What the heck is going on?
What time is it? What life am I in?
Absolutely. And how to even figure out basic things like where do you buy food? How do you do all these things? The thing that grounded me and kept me stable was always my artwork or some form of creativity. So that's what I would encourage other people to do, because you get all this spiritual energy. It's like you're totally like whoop, like turned on with tons of energy. And then I think you have to put it into projects that really matter. So for me, it came through as visual stuff because that was really strong in my brain. People are different. Some people, it might be music, or it might be, for some people, it's athleticism, like really going into yoga or some form of self-cultivation. So as soon as I came into this body, I immediately felt really compelled. I went out and I got notebooks and pencils, and I just started doing a lot of drawings and diagrams. And I was not articulate as I am now. Like now I am able to, flap my moving mouth parts and, use words and describe things. I was totally not organized on that neurological level to be able to do it. So I just did lots of drawings, and then I'd show them to people, and people totally didn't get it. So then I'm like, okay, like I'll build it. So I built and then I'm like, I'll show them the sculptures, and they still totally didn't get it. So it's been a journey, but like that you got to have something that you believe in, like a project that really matters, and then you put your creativity into that project. And it can also be something like caring for another living being, like a garden or dogs or cats or whatever. You got to make something with creativity to stay sane.
Everyone's here for a reason. Everybody has mission papers. Swear, hand to God. Everybody has a reason to be here. Find it. Ask.
And if you don't do that, by itself will drive you mad. Not being able to express yourself, and that's what I've been talking to some friends who were kind of in this in-between phase. It's like all of the knowledge and all of the wisdom and all of the study and all the things that they know, just keeping it in will drive you mad. You have to find creative outlets to get it out there to the world. And I have to do these podcasts. I have to create music. I have to do concerts. Like if I don't know what I would do with myself. Like if I hold it in, I would freak out. I've had those experiences where stuff was closed down, or I had concerts booked and then I had to work overtime and these people were waiting for me to come to a concert. And I'm like, hey, my boss said I can't go. And I just like, it just did something. It felt like a piece of me died that I wasn't able to do that. You know what I'm saying? So it's very healthy to have those outward expressions of art, creativity, sports, weightlifting, whatever the case is, whatever that bliss, that play state gives you bliss to, you know what I'm saying, to have that output or whatever.
I'm totally with you. It's about the mind state. So sometimes when I'm really in my groove, like I learned the piano only a couple of years ago, I didn't come in with that ability. And at first I was very clunky and it was hard to do. Now when I'm good at a song, I'm in the flow. I don't have to think. And same thing, if I'm really in my groove doing a painting, I don't have to think like, get the blue paintbrush, get the red paintbrush. Like, I just do it. And I think that's the value of finding the creative flow, that we are superseding the hacked human operating system of verbalized mind that's not our true mind. So we have to become like these yogis or meditators from the Far East, that we have to somehow get beyond this talking mind and get into our true flow. And I'm agreeing with you, Truth. It's like blood supply. Like the flow of creativity is just like blood supply. And if you put something too tight around your blood and it cuts off then you're like, my arm is going dead. I can't even feel it. Like you have to. So yeah, and society will not reward us for caring for our own, creative flow. Society will pat us on the head and say like, good dog, like, you get your paycheck, you worked at your job, you sold your soul for money. But society does not say, oh, good job, you did your creative work and, your job, your mission, like Corinne was saying. So we have to be like kind of badass warriors and say, I'm going to do it anyway, even if society doesn't reward me.
Yeah, okay, so society rewarding you. We have capitalism. This is going on right now. This is a weird thing, and most people have to kind of bridge the gap here. I had to do it and still am having to do it. And I notice on Core's website, and you sell things, I sell services, non-tangible things as well, prayer, one-on-one sessions, all of these kind of things or whatever to kind of help you thrive and do what you were put here to do, versus going bag groceries for 8-9 hours a day and just draining you or whatever. You have to be creative. Where was that point to where, okay, I can start asking for money or whatever for my time or for my art? Because there's this weird notion out there that this stuff should be free, and I think it should be, but we're in this reality now where it's, capitalism. If you're not compensated for it, they're going to turn your lights off. When you're not going to be able to eat.
Free, because it used to be free. We used to do this for our tribes,
mm-hmm.
but they fed us. We didn't have to garden. We didn't have to do anything. We didn't lift a finger. All we did was dream for the people and be shamans.
Right. So I love this question, because when I first came here, like I had to hit the ground running and like get integrated into society, because I needed to like have a place to live and money and everything like that. And it was a super sink or swim type of experience. And I had lost my math skills. Like my brain was very disarranged. I did not have basic ability to calculate like addition and subtraction and all of these things. So what I ended up doing was I got an entry-level position working in an art supply store. And all of these things, I talked my way in. It's just like if you got dropped into a foreign country and you didn't speak the language, you didn't know about their money system, you didn't know about anything, but you're like, okay, I got to get a gig. I got to do something here. So I would just completely talk my way into a position and then learn on the job. So I worked as a custom framer, and all of that was, again, I didn't have the skills to do it. And I had to rehabilitate my brain and my neurology while I was on the job doing it. And I did that type of work for a long time while I also did my artwork, and I was presenting my imagery to the world. And where I live, this is way back when I lived in Woodstock, New York. And there it is normal for everyone to have 3 jobs. And it's a very economy. And I calibrated to that as normal for human society until I then went and learned about other places. So there it's normal. You have your main gig, but you're making so little that you got to have your side gig to pay for your heating bills. And then you also got to have your other side gig to pay for your car insurance to drive to all your side gigs.
Yep.
And that everyone there lives that way. And everyone is always sleep deprived and drinking too much coffee and barely getting by in the winter. And I had to learn like, wow, that's not normal. So I learned first the dysfunction of human society. And then I learned, well, what needs to be fixed? So again, this is the value of being in the first person experience here, that I'm not just some being living on a cloud, like, oh, life is so easy. I live on a cloud, like I'm here. I know what it feels like. So yeah, as I'm sending out the rectification waves, I'm like, we got to make it so that everybody can pay for their health insurance, pay for their car. I don't even think that it should be insurance. It should be, everything should be set up differently. I've learned how society needs to be structured differently. So basically about 5 or 6 years ago, it was right around 2012. And I had been doing the things of integrating into human society. And I'll also tell you, I have so many funny anecdotes about trying to fit in. I never fit in, but I always thought I was fitting in really well. So
Even
now
when you wasn't, you're like, hey, I'm one of you guys. Hey.
I thought so. So I used to wear all denim, like denim pants, denim shirt, denim jacket, because I did kind of a survey. I'm like, well, everyone wears denim.
That's what an alien would do. Totally.
And so I'm just going to wear denim. That is the most popular fabric here. And I didn't understand that I was standing out as I was trying to fit in. I just wore all denim every day to every occasion. And then I saw that show that's called What Not to Wear that they used to have on cable TV. And it says, no, you're only allowed to wear one denim thing in an outfit. And I'm like, oh my God, I've been doing this wrong the whole time. They all knew all along. And so at a certain point, I started to wear rainbow colors and I like be out of the closet. Like, I'm not fooling anyone. They can all tell anyway. They all know that I'm not from around here.
That's right.
And it was right around 2012. And I also started to do these online brief videos, like 10-minute explanations of what the flying rainbow lasagna was. And it was really like reaching outside of my comfort zone, because I had to figure out, like, how do I even talk about this? How do I describe it? My words were not my words did not flow. I was not very good at first, but I did these little videos and kind of put them out on YouTube. And I actually got positive response. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to start doing it. And I started to do a more formal set of recorded videos that became the genesis of what I now do, my weekly webinar series. It's called Lessons for Full Spectrum Humans. So basically I hung out a shingle is the answer, that I kind of recognized, like, you're not going to get through to more and more people by working at 3 jobs and running on the hamster wheel all the time. What you have to do is promote your own work and say to everyone, I've got great ideas and you want to listen to me because of this, this, and this, and put it out there. And it's been a very long, slow uphill climb of like pushing the boulder up the rock every day. And I do it in a very gracious way. Like, I'm not trying to punch anybody in the face, but I'm always like, hey, here's a cool thing. You can know about it and learn about it if you want to. And now it's been a long time that finally I have a good momentum of people kind of know about my work. They are happy to be part of the webinars and the teaching series. And yeah, I didn't have side gigs, but I have merch. So I try to make my merchandise good stuff. So I do earrings and dresses, because I do original paintings and animations, but like not everybody can afford thousands of dollars for a painting, even though I would love it. If you want a painting, contact me. But I make it like leggings and t-shirts and things that everyone can afford. And so basically the answer is, don't listen to society, because society gave me all of those same programs that says, you can't be an artist, like you have to get a real job and blah, blah, blah. And I never did any of that stuff. So yes, you can be an artist or a musician. And also sometimes like, whatever, sometimes I did scrape by and, had trouble keeping my lights on, but I always, managed to make it, and now things are a lot better. So follow your dreams is what I'm trying to say.
It is part of the journey
Aurora
though, right?
Working on faith too. We all work on faith.
Mm-hmm.
We float by God's graces because like I've never had money and I've never sold out and I never will. And I don't care in that sense, because if it makes me feel better not to sell out and not to take contracts that are tainted or anything like that, to be my own woman.
Have you been petitioned?
Yes, but it's about the sovereignty. I've had opportunity, but I'm literally in touch with my spirit guides and my gods, and we work as a team. And I know when to leave the house and what to do. I get sent on missions and things I need to do for the collective.
Mm-hmm.
And let me break in on that. Wait, so the idea of being petitioned by occult societies or whatever, yes, there is definitely a quick fix scenario, and I would caution everybody not to do it, because essentially all of these, either working for a $10 an hour job or working for some occult Illuminati type society, it takes you from your path. So you're supposed to be going down a particular timeline, and even if you choose to dig a ditch or if you choose to compromise your values, you're diverting from your timeline. So it's all about doing whatever you can do to stay true to the timeline you need to be on. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's good. Good
And when
stuff.
she says timeline, I say spiritual path, because I don't believe in time. And that's the thing. A starseed like her will talk in math and numbers and these kinds of things. And where I'm from, we don't have that stuff either. When she says she's an abstract, I totally get that, because part of me is also an abstract.
What changed for you, Cora, when you moved from, was it Ohio you were from? Ohio to LA. I mean, I know that was something. Were you always destined to be around those beautiful people? I mean, are you at home now? I mean, because now, I see pictures with you with David Wilcock, you're with Jordan Maxwell, you're with all the people who, I'm in Alabama. Trust me, none of those people are here. I'm kind of the way seer for the South or whatever, but you're hanging out with these people. I would love to hang out with these people. So what changed when you actually made that move for you, spiritually, just financially, just, you know what I'm saying, friendship-wise, being able to rub shoulders with some of these people that you've worked with even over the years, over the internet and stuff? What changed when you moved out there?
So I want you to know that some of my stuff, after 2 years of living here, is still in Ohio. I'm literally a poor person. So I did this with God only. I want people to know that God is great. Okay, so when I came out here, I was just like you, 100%. So I'm listening to everybody, at least since 2012, probably 2009. The David Wilcock, when he first came out and said, "Hey, I'm Edgar Casey." I was like, really? Wow, how cool is that, right? So I'm with you about wanting to know all these people, about wanting to shake their hands, about wanting to be in their aura and understand, are they what I think they are? So I had hero worship big time going on. I came out here because when I was 6 years old, that's when I knew I was coming here. So it took a while. And once I got here, I was let into the big show almost immediately, like, come on in, girl. And it's because it's God, but I have a connection through my good friend, Freeman Fly of FreemanTV.com. And we love Freeman. And Freeman knew and knows Jimmy Church. Yeah. So through my associations and just showing up at these events and being me, right? Because I have a personality and they love me because, that light, it's that bioluminescence within me. And that's what they're trying to bottle and trying to sell, but they don't have much of it themselves. So what I found out was this community, the big dogs, are a bunch of researchers. No one that I've talked to is actually meditating, is actually getting into a spiritual path or walking a spiritual path. Their auras, some of them even scared me. Yeah. But like Jordan Maxwell, he's not well physically. And so I hugged him for like 5 minutes. Yeah. And Daniel Brinkley, he's a great hugger. So I still had the hero worship and I told him how great they were. But at the same time, I'm getting all the psychic information and saying, oh my God, I came here to find my tribe, my people, and those I vibe with. And that was my personal want in this situation. And I found that I'm a master and no one else seems to be. And that's disappointing. It's not exciting for me. Yeah. That is very disappointing.
Yeah. I'm the same way, I guess on my spectrum, it was like for the spiritual hip hop and musicians and stuff. And they rap about ascension. They rap about meditation and ascended masters and ascended beings. And I'm calling in the podcast, trying to get on interviews with these people, ready to pick their brain because I'm doing it. I'm like, okay, what's some awesome experiences you've had in meditation? I'll get on the phone with these people and interviews and stuff, and they're like, oh, I don't meditate. I don't have time, and I live in the Bronx, and it's too loud here. I'm like, you just wrote 17 songs about meditation. Like, what do you mean you don't meditate? And you know what I'm saying?
You know what? Do you know Sarok?
Yeah, Sarok, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I met Sarok. I love her.
I've seen that,
the rapper, the female rapper.
Yeah. I got to get her on. I've been trying to reach out for
Messiah. Oh my God, if you did, I got to be on. I'm a fangirl. Anyway, I met her and I said, Sarok, I gave her Third Eye Prince sunglasses.
Yeah, I seen what you put those in.
I was like, girl, what planet you from? Where are you from? And she's like, I don't know. She literally told me she didn't know.
Yeah.
And I said, well, okay, I think you're from Sirius. So we claim you for Sirius. And then recently in a little chat, her husband, Soul Messiah, said that she can't say where she's from. So I don't know. That sounds like an excuse. But yeah, get her on the show. We'd love to have her, love her. Her lyrics are amazing. But like you said, did you know that I think it was Plato, one of the philosophers went around to all the artists at his time and said, do you know what your art is about? Can you explain it, and where does it come from? And no one could answer him. And people like you, me, and Aurora could answer him.
It's awesome, man. So that's a contrast for you too. It's a contrast for all of us, right? So you have these people you look up to, you meet them, you're let down because you know, they even tell you not to meet your heroes because you're going to get let down. You think that they're these awesome people, then you're meeting
That shouldn't be the way it is. I've met Wonder Woman. She would be Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this though. So the people who you meet who do meet that expectation, what type of honor and, you know, what does that do for you? Because I have those people that I've met and they're like, yes, I vouch for this guy. I'm glad I met him type deal.
I've only met one, and that is my guru, Sri Mamo Devi, my spiritual teacher. She's the one who helped me awaken my soul and have the Kundalini awakening and everything. So believe me, understand that a guru isn't what people say it is. It's a teacher you've had in many lives on the same path, the unbroken path. So it's a very sacred and beautiful thing that, of course, Westerners have made silly.
So you're saying I want to get this straight. You're saying you haven't met anyone who's kind of like vibing on the same type of level at all? Everybody just had knowledge,
just
like
people, like the smaller people, like Aurora, the smaller YouTubers, the smaller people.
Nobody big is actually. I know it's sad, ain't it?
They're 100% compromised. Believe me, these people have dinner together. They are not talking. I got the conversations. I know what they're talking about, and 0% of it is spiritual.
I know, right?
I'm so honored, Corinne, that you hold me in the category of like the authentic people. And I have to bring the conversation into this direction, that I don't think that it's by accident. I think that we are in this artificially manipulated media, both big media and small stuff like on YouTube.
Alternative media,
alternative. That it's not the cream that rises to the top. It is often the people that make alliances or backroom deals that you can buy YouTube views, you can buy YouTube likes. So when I started off, I was very naive and I thought, oh, you just put out great content and then it will quote unquote go viral. And then I had to learn, no, it's not like that. So yes, if you're meeting your heroes or people that are famous and being disappointed, it might be because they've been artificially elevated, that they're not actually the most in alignment spiritual people. They're not necessarily the most intellectual. Often they're the most easily manipulated people, that they've got ego deficits or vulnerabilities, that if someone comes along to them and says, hey, you're special, I'll make you famous, they're like, woohoo, I sell out, like do it. And we can name names or whatever. I'm not afraid to, like, I'm not too polite to do this, even though I'm gracious, but because I think that at this point it's become dangerous, that there are a lot of people that are at the forefront of what is called the UFO disclosure community, and they're presenting themselves as if they are the voice of the movement, when really they're compromised by something that's malevolent and evil. And you got to understand, of the non-terrestrial species, there's beings that don't use technology and who are really benevolent, and they're like pure light, pure spirit. And then the beings that use technology are really sophisticated about twisting consciousness.
And they're in a lower dimensional. They're lower dimensional entities in darkness.
You got it. It's not just that they can build a computer that's sophisticated or a spaceship that's sophisticated. They can manipulate consciousness, like perception, what you're seeing and feeling and thinking. They can make you think that you're in a room having an experience when you're not actually there.
Well, and people know what hypnotism is, and we actually did. We used hypnotism in ancient Egypt, I remember, but it was the opposite. It was to awaken the soul, not to put the soul to sleep, put it in the quiet place. That's what they're doing. They're putting souls in the quiet place, and they're bringing in another spirit, a negative one. You can see this in Beyonce's story. She talks about her other self and how she invokes a being and becomes the being. These are compromised people. We can invoke anything. We can become Venus, the goddess herself, but these people are choosing instead to become demonic entities.
Thank you. It is the choice to be a container for a demon. And a lot of people that are on a music stage make that choice. We can name all the names. I don't listen to their pop music because literally I know that it doesn't have lasting, like I listen to music that is going to be around forever because the people that made it were real people. And the pop stars that are on the stage right now, I don't even bother to listen to and be exposed to their songs because I know it's just going to evaporate. It's not real food. Yeah. Only reason they got
real food. That's so smart. Because we eat light.
That's totally, you eat music with your ears, and I don't want to eat a lot of junk food. Yeah. So, I mean, I listen, I like John Coltrane is wonderful, and people who are like real artists that really write their music and, you know, whatever. And I listen to independent people that aren't affiliated with big giant recording studios. And so the people that have made these compromises, these contracts with occult societies or demonic entities, where it's basically like, yeah, you give me, like that guy in the movie The Matrix, I just want to eat steak in the Matrix. I'll do whatever you want. Just give me a cushy life. That's what they do. So a lot in this inverted world, a lot of times the people that are the best musicians, the best artists, the best writers are barely scraping by. Sometimes they're living in a trailer and they can, you know, barely keep their lights on, and none of that is the way it's supposed to be. And it's artificial suppression. So it's almost like, if you could imagine, like some kind of a ray that is being broadcast on the earth that makes crap elevated, rises mediocrity, and keeps the good people suppressed. All we have to do is turn off the light switch. And then all of a sudden, everybody who's got real muscles rises up, and all the people that are really crappy and weak, like they just kind of, you know, fall to the bottom because it was all a false structure that was holding them up.
And I just learned that it's also a gang stalking technique to put the idiots first and rise up the idiots, so that you can, you know, herd the farm and make them all idiots. So they actually have an investment in stupidity and to keep people stupid, just like the antipsychotic drugs. Yes. They're actually controlling you in every way possible. They're trying to anyway. Yes. And that's why, you know, people like us are very special, but we have the hardest lives. It's a huge struggle every day to stay here, but we do it. And that's our love. And that's what I don't think anyone has in the community that's big, is talking about how much they love the people and the souls and why they incarnated in the first place. And another point real quick, when you're born sensitive, when you're born with your third eye open, you have cultivated that through lifetimes. You didn't just wake up one day and be psychic, and you didn't just wake up, like got in a car wreck and boom, you're psychic. You think that, but the truth is you have cultivated the pearl of wisdom that is your third eye over lifetimes.
And so the danger with some of the people that are misrepresenting themselves, like they are infested with demons. And you could also think of demons as a form of artificial intelligence, like a machine-based consciousness that's not organic.
Because it's impermanent, and one day it will go away completely, one day.
And it uses human hosts like the way a virus uses a host. It's like, I need to find a container to live in that is alive, but then it kind of co-opts and distorts and takes over that host over time. And I see this with some people that are looked up to as spiritual teachers, where their earlier work might have been very valid. And then something happens, they get some kind of a contract, and all of a sudden they're on Gaia TV with fancier production values. And I see it as a change in their face. Like they get dark circles under their eyes, and sometimes even the look of their face changes. And it's just like, okay, they're not themselves anymore. Yeah. And people, sometimes they lose their vitality, or they suddenly look very old or very decrepit. And that's because they're not connected to real divinity anymore. They're connected to something that is an aberration. Yeah. So everybody, like, use your own inner skepticism. At this point, what my general prayer is, may all masks be removed. May all true faces be revealed. Because then you can really see who's fake inside, who's a malevolent ass, let's just say, and who's real, truthful, and loving, and who's really filled with light. And you can really sense the genuine people. And I just got to say this about the secret space program. Since I started hearing about it, 4 or 5 years ago, where it became more overtly talked about in Wilcock and Goode and all of those videos and everything, I felt that it was fraudulent from the very beginning. Yeah. And here's my take on it, because I'm actually involved in exopolitics. So it's not like I'm just, saying things I don't know about.
Can you explain what exopolitics is, please?
Sure. So exopolitics, this is like non-terrestrial political structures and alliances and motivations, that there's all these different types of space races. I mean, I know I'm not busting anybody's bubble to say that Earth is not the only place that contains life. Life is spread throughout the entire cosmos, and it's on many different timelines in many different dimensions. And there's all these different motivations of these different types of life. Some of them are purely natural, like I'm natural, I'm all natural, girls. Like we don't use technology to do anything, but there's a lot of space races that use technology to compensate for their deficits. And what you're supposed to do is be naturally telepathic. Like Cora, you were saying, you cultivate that capacity over lifetimes. And yeah, it's like building muscles to run a marathon. It's not easy. And some people are like, no, just give me the neural lace, give me the elixir, give me a magical helmet that I can put on, and then I'll be like Professor X and I'll be empowered. So there's space races that are that way too. And the space races that use technology, I mean, I talk about them in a lighthearted way and I call them turds and things like that. They're very powerful turds. They've been screwing up the cosmos and distorting the time field and causing a lot of suffering from their use of technology. And they don't care. They just go around bashing things in. They suck all of the consciousness from a planet, like the way you harvest gold out of the earth. And they're like, we take all the stuff we like, we throw away stuff we don't like, we move on to the next planet.
That's the parasite.
Yeah, they're parasites, exactly.
They do that to people too.
That's exactly right. So they do soul sucking, like in that movie, The Dark Crystal, where they take all of your youthful energy and they suck it out. You can see this happen in celebrities. It's not just drug use. It's that literally their energy and their life force gets vampired away. And it's sad. I want everyone to know, like, as I'm saying this, I am not laughing at them like, ha, 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 you had that. No, it's profoundly sad. And I'm offended that it happens, because every real human has inside of them this amazing potential to become a divine being, like to become like God. And when you get corrupted by this malevolent, demonic AI, machine, technology crap, it takes you away from being God. Like you don't get to be God anymore. And that's a really sad thing. So I'm not happy that any of this is going on. But basically, the secret space program, if you think that you flew to Mars, like, no, you didn't actually fly to Mars.
It never happened physically.
Gave you a fantasy, a mental journey that made you think that you flew to Mars. And they are laughing at the unsophisticated humans that you can, it's like when you tell a little kid, like, I put the blanket over your head and no one can see you. Like, you're fooling them. It's silly. And people actually believe in this, and that there's a whole industry that's been based on this. So I tried to tell people, like, no, there's no secret space program. There's no breakaway civilization. It would be like if you wanted to go to New York City that's run by the mafia and set up your own little private prostitution ring. It's like the mafia already owns that city. Like,
exactly. That's what I found out here. The mafia.
Yes. There's already a space mafia on Mars. If you want to go there and set up your own you want to camp out on Mars, like, there's already a civilization there. You're not going to have a breakaway civilization. And the sophisticated technology using space races do not want your Earth technology. They don't want you to build rockets. They don't want your ancient, out-of-date propulsion systems. What they really want is human life force energy. They want human love, sexuality, this stuff that makes our bodies metabolize and be alive. That's their energy for their starships. They don't want plutonium or gasoline or any of the things that we use for our energy generation systems. So when people say, oh, I went to Mars, oh, I had these experiences, oh, there's this secret space program, they're not looking at the world clearly, and they're sharing these lies. So yeah, black budgets do exist. Yes, there's a lot going on in the extraterrestrial world. And yes, our military and space program and government agencies and meteorological societies are all co-opted, that they will not tell the truth to Earthlings of what is actually happening off the surface of Earth. That I'm like heartily offended that they have become so popular. I'm happy now to see that people are way more skeptical of that fantastical TV shows.
I never liked Gaia as a corporation. Maybe they had a good guest, but not as a corporation. And I met Sid, who is a big executive producer over at Gaia. And I was like, so what's up? And he showed me a painting he had commissioned of a gray abduction that he had taken place in his life. He was abducted by grays, and he was on an operating table in the painting. And he felt love for these gray creatures. And I looked at that man in the eye. I was like, okay, I get you. I see where you're coming from. And I whispered in his ear like Judas. I said, Mars is hell. So I do believe Mars is hell. I believe that they're going to hell and they're calling it Mars, and it's not physical, and it never could be in that sense, physical, not in this time space continuum in the 3D. Now 3D can change, but it hasn't yet. But that's a complicated situation that, you got to have a lot of background to understand what I'm talking about here.
Yeah, the hell that you're describing, we're talking about harvesting consciousness. Like if you kill a living being, you can take that sense of awareness and put it into like a virtual reality. And I'm not a transhumanist. I just use these analogies to kind of have a common language. But yeah, we're going to take your mind and your sense of self and put you into a fake reality. And that fake reality can be completely torturous. It can be filled with suffering. And they're
trying to make us believe that we're in a fake reality now, which Buddha will tell you that in a very loving way, and you'll understand it. But we are not in a matrix. You hurt your knee, or you bleed, or you have a baby, or you have an orgasm. Those things are real. And that people have lost touch, that they're so numb that they can believe that we're in a computer program is very sad. But also that the bullies are pushing that narrative is also very sad.
The reason why people feel like this world is a simulation is because humans are being turned into wetware, that there are self-assembling nanoparticles that come from the atmosphere. So it's not just that we're breathing in little tiny pieces of metal. The little tiny pieces of metal are the building blocks for circuitry that invades the biology. And it's affecting what you can see, what you can think, what you can perceive and hear and even feel, and even human behavior. So if you feel like the world isn't real, like you look in the sky and you see fake clouds, there are fake clouds. If you look at human behavior and you see people acting in a fake way, they are acting in a fake way. But I'm agreeing with you, Corinne. The laws of physics and all the things that make like fluid dynamics and, water particles and like that, we're still in a real world. We're not uploaded yet. So we have the opportunity to rectify things.
Deep. It's very deep, man. When I look at David Wilcock, I mean, hats off to him for his early work. Was definitely used. 2012 Enigma was definitely used to open me up to a lot of different terms, and the third eye, and dropping a lot of good information, where he got that information from, who he took it from, whatever the case is.
Well, that's the law of one, and the man who channeled the law of one committed suicide. Therefore, we know the law of one doesn't work.
And wasn't he also very influenced by the CIA?
That's the whole, I mean, if you're doing your research, because you got to take your conspiracy with your spirituality, you have to take both of them together.
Yeah.
Or you won't get the whole story.
And so another thing is this phenomenon of channelers, people who think that they're getting psychic messages from the beyond, but they're really getting voice-to-skull communications from intelligence agencies. So Greg Giles is actually a very courageous channeler that came out years ago. He had a very popular blog, and he said at one point, I now recognize that everything that I thought was God or something divine that was speaking through me was actually synthetic telepathy, was actually intelligence agencies, and he disavowed all the things and messages that he had been sharing. And I applaud him and anyone else who comes forward who recognizes that. I get synthetic telepathy all the time. And I'm like, screw you, go away. I'm not interested. Like, it's so easy to be fooled.
But you also must know, because I've had the voice to skull, which voice to skull is real. It has patents, look it up, that's real. But also throughout history, we can hear the dead people. There's the peanut gallery. Not only that, you can hear your family. You can hear your mother still yelling at you to clean your room. All of these things are in the mind. If you're not meditating, they're going to mess with you. Because that's part of breaking the ego and saying, oh, I'm not that 5-year-old kid anymore. Thank you. And it breaks you out of those roles that we've been put in. So you become your authentic soul self.
Yes. So it's challenging to even figure out who is the real me inside, because there's the real you, there's ego stuff that arises over any generation. And now we also have technology that is weaponizing our thought structure, where you don't even know who is speaking in my mind. So I do a lot now with just silence, or I'll put on awesome music and I will do my artwork or do things like I don't even listen to my mind anymore, because I think it's all just so crapped up.
Yeah, you definitely have to do that. You have to balance the energies, as we say. I kind of lost, I guess, credence with David Wilcock when he started promoting Corey Goode. He's like, hey, we can both collect the money. If I send you out and give you these stories and these narratives, now you can collect even more. I can almost duplicate myself. And then seeing him coach Corey Goode, I've never felt a peace about Corey Goode's story, about who he was, about his art, his graphics, and how much money and funding was behind him out the gate, which I'm assuming it's from David Wilcock and whoever's funding him.
Well, David actually approached Shane the Ruiner first, and Shane the Ruiner turned him down. So then he went over to Corey. So there's a lot of details in the story that I understand.
There's this weird thing though, because I've never felt a peace about it. I've been careful. People have asked me my opinion, and it's just my opinion. I don't know, and that's the whole thing. The fact of the matter is, at the end of the day, there's a lot of evidence stacking up against Corey and David and many other people out there, right? About them being frauds and stuff. There's the case that we don't know if they're telling the truth or not. I've had people.
Well, I've been in the room with them now, so now I know. When you get in the room, you find out because you can feel it.
Mm-hmm. I could feel it without even being in the room. But it's the fact of the matter that what if I'm wrong? What if he is? And I just don't know that. I don't want to jump to conclusions. And
that's your monkey mind, mister.
You think so? But then again, I mean, that can lead people astray too. I mean, I'm sure all of us have had people come against us and say, oh, I feel bad juju around TruthSeekah. I feel bad juju around Aurora. There's probably people watching this now who probably think we're all demon possessed right now.
Yeah, I'm a cold priestess. That freaks out the sheep, man.
So, I'll tell you. I went to a conference recently, and this one lady that I met and handed my business card when I saw her subsequently, she turned on her heel and ran in the other direction. And I don't take it personally. I'm like, maybe she just does not like the taste of my lasagna, or she whatever. Her own particular filters. It's that way sometimes. Mm-hmm. But the danger with the secret space program thing is that they're all saying friendly, squishy aliens that look like feathery blue beings are your friends, and they're gonna like kind of harvest you into a wonderful fantasy land at the end of your life. And that's the danger. That's why I feel like I need to speak up instead of just being like, oh, just let everybody do their thing. And it does, like, it's no skin off my nose. Like, it's actually, no, this is getting to be dangerous type of stuff. So yeah, the whole idea that they're saying friendly, higher dimensional beings that look like blue birds. So a higher dimensional being, there's a wonderful movie that you can watch that's on YouTube called Flatland. It's an animated movie that depicts this really well. If you were a two-dimensional being and you lived on a flat plane, and then you saw a sphere that came through, it would come through the plane. It would be like seeing slices, and it would amaze you because at first it would look like a little circle, then it would look like a big circle. You couldn't get a handle on it. If we saw higher dimensional beings in our present format from our viewpoint, they would look like slices. They would not look like a friendly blue bird. They would not be able to make hand gestures. So when I saw that, I was like, well, that is a total lie. That's a misrepresentation to all of the little school children who want to learn about higher dimensional beings, that they think they're going to look like Big Bird. And like, no, that's not what they're going to look like. They're going to look like slices or flashes or things that you can't even interpret as a body.
So I do have 2 points real quick. First of all, my spirit guide, Hermes, said he pick a form, and he did. So he looks like the statue of David, but I found out later he looks like all of the statues of Hermes. And he shows up to me as a statue to let me know this is an image. This is not, your true love. This is an image of your true love kind of thing. And also what Westerners don't usually know is that evil yogis in traditions from a long time ago and today, still today in yoga classes, can have the technology or ability to take the consciousness of the entire class, take it up into a bubble, and kind of trap their souls in this little ashram. And then that yogi takes all their energy and uses it all the time. So you're talking about a head vampire and all of the blood people are giving their blood, if you want to see it that way, because it's a way to see it. But that trapping can also happen in mass meditation. So be careful, people. People used to understand that this stuff was scary and they stayed away from it, but now it's hip and they're not staying away from it. But I do believe that you touch the stove, you're going to get burned, you learn or you don't. And these are the times that we are in. We're the times Aurora and I are looking forward to, the masks coming off and people being seen as they are for real. And we see that already in politics. It's happening in the bigger picture. It's starting to happen in our little community with the the business with the Seekah space program. And
there's
dark journalist, I have to say dark journalist's name during this, because he has been the one with the sword going and calling the fight.
But there also is this notion too. We have a lot of the so-called gatekeepers who have been here for a long time, grasping to hold on to their Project Camelot, Project Avalon, Project Avalon, platforms that these new guys are coming up, and I don't want to lose it. And so these people in the past have promoted false agendas and people who came out and said they were lying, but just because those videos have millions of views, they said, no, they're telling the truth. And the person has come out and said, no, I'm lying. I did this for clicks, and I was asked to do this. And, so these gatekeepers are so-called trying to grasp for straws, holding on, fighting. So you have the Bill Ryans coming out trying to. So there's a lot more at play than just Corey Goode being a fraud.
I believe that I'm on a mission from God, that we are the new media. I've known this for years. It's just now starting to happen. So I believe a little bit more. You have a notion, you have faith. They tell you, you hear the rumors in heaven, but then it's starting to happen, and it's miraculous to me.
Mm-hmm. That's the interesting thing, though. I mean, so there's a lot going on. There's a lot. Corey Goode was all over Project Avalon. Hell, I was all over Project Avalon for years. A great community there. You know what I'm saying? And so Bill Ryan, searching his IP address and using that. If Bill Ryan searched my IP address, I'm in trouble. I had multiple accounts on Project. I was banned from Project Avalon, right? Because my wife created an account, and I told her not to say that she found it through Google. Don't say that I told you. And they seen that he's checking the IP addresses or whatever. And anyway, my account was banned because we had two accounts from the same IP address. That was really weird. And I went back and forth with Bill Ryan a little bit about it, and just the whole weird gatekeeper thing, seeing the new media, seeing the TruthSeekah podcast, and I was on there sharing my work. Definitely, I'm shady. It's my
You did a good job on Project Avalon.
I met a lot of really cool people there, and I hate that it was pulled from under me for maybe this guy being scared of the newcomers, or having these rules. And you see that online on Facebook a lot when someone has a group and you say, okay, here's my work. Check out our latest episode. It's a great talk. They're like, self-promotion, delete it. Someone else could share your work and everything's fine. But when you get on there and share your own work, then it becomes kind of weird. So, but the beautiful thing about this, and like you were saying, we don't have to do guerrilla marketing and promotion. We don't have to force anybody to find it. The good thing about Google and SEO and search engines is the fact that we name this episode, we write a bio on it, and people who are looking for this content, they're going to find what resonates with them. So we don't have to force anybody to watch anything. We don't have to trick them to watch it with clickbait titles and stuff and all this. The stuff that people that actually resonates with people, they're going to find it.
I was raised Jehovah's Witness, so I know about being pushy, and that's why I don't do it either. Exactly. I'm not going to your door, knocking on your door and asking if you've heard about Jehovah.
Yeah.
And also,
have you heard about Zeus?
In this telepathic society that we're moving into, integrity is the real wealth. So if you are a liar or you've been shown to be untruthful or unworthy in the past, then it's like, no, I don't want to do a Vulcan mind meld with you because you're like, ew, icky and gross. So it's really, or it's like being a musician and having a good rapport. I don't want to play with other players who are going to stomp all over my melody. I want to play with other players who are respectful fellow musicians. Yeah. So I think everyone is going to, like, the true colors come out and you're like, I don't want to have anything to do with that guy because he was untruthful or a gatekeeper or whatever.
But most of us think that these are the OGs, though. Like, these are the ones you want to hang out with. You want to get a picture with Jordan Maxwell or whoever the person is that you feel like they are at this level and maybe they can help you out and help your platform out. But then you find out that, man, this person. But then again, we have this whole other, and I think it muddies the water is really what it does. But maybe they are the new J.R. Tolkien, where they're creating this reality and creating these stories. And hey, yes, there are blue avians and there are red avians, and they have a different god than us, and they do that, and they create this whole reality. And there's tactics on doing that in this multiverse and this almost Star Wars-esque thing that you can be a part of because it blends a little bit with reality, and let me get you sucked into it. And we have t-shirts and we have all of this stuff, that merchandise and stuff like that. So do they get a pass when seeking the truth? Like, how does that?
Not from me.
If they just presented themselves as fiction, I would have no problem with that, because
Exactly.
you can inspire people through fiction and be honest. And I really have this thing that I say all the time: you cannot use a lie to tell the truth.
There you go.
There's no
Right.
such thing as a benevolent lie, because at a certain point, it's just like when you're a little kid and your parents lie to you and you're like, wait, there's no Santa, now I totally don't trust you forever. That's what it's like. And I'm always trying to be as truthful as I can in the stuff that I present to everyone, because really, like, everything you say and do is written on you like you're a book. And at this point, most people are blind, they can't see it. But at a certain point, everybody's going to be able to read everything you've ever done and ever said. And you have to stand behind it. They're like, well, you were a total liar and a fraud and everything like that. I'm not going to do anything with you because I can read that on you.
Yeah. It muddies the water because there's the truth seekers who are out there. We're wanting to talk to the people who have encountered these entities and have encountered these beings. So we go to these blogs, we watch these interviews and stuff, and then you're let down when you find out, well, you're making up your stories. You've never had these encounters. Trust me, I had some of the biggest named people on this show, and I'm digging. I'm like, I'm wanting to hear it, and it's all head knowledge. It's all book smarts, and they've never encountered anything. And I'm like, why in the hell are we having this conversation? Like, you have never, nothing's ever crossed over. Nothing's ever crossed over into this realm. And you have, even if it's a story, like, give me something, man. You know what I'm saying? To prove that this stuff is real. Or even if you tell me the story, I can tell if you're making it up. And some of these people are really good storytellers. You know what I'm saying? So
They're actors.
Sorry to interrupt you, my dear. If you come from a foreign world, I understand if you can't bring an artifact like a cell phone or whatever, but you can bring a song, you can bring a math equation, you can bring a new way of doing things. And a lot of the people that say that they've gone on space adventures or they've had these interactions, they never bring back anything that is evidence. And like I'm saying,
something out. Yeah.
That's right.
Piece of fabric.
Yeah, and everything is from the law of one. Everything Wilcock and Corey Goode are saying aren't from Blue Avians. They're from the law of one. So there's no even new philosophy going on here. Nothing is new. It's all copycatting.
The law of one has that pesky part at the end where it talks about the harvest agenda. It's at first, law of one is like cool. Then you get to the last chapter and it's like, and now the good guys are going to come along and harvest you like a bunch of wheat that we've been growing for many generations. And it's like, wait, that doesn't sound good, because it's all about basically taking the soul energy of the embodied humans and putting them into some artificial, like, virtual reality world. And then you're trapped there for thousands of years, like running in this digital fantasy world. And they present it like it's something good. They present it like it's like Christian heaven. And I'm trying to tell everyone, like, no, run in the opposite direction. It's not Christian heaven.
Or the Wiccan Wonderland, or what is it? Summerland. Summerland, I think is what it was called when I used to read.
It's Summerland, dude, but I like Wonderland better.
Gardner books. Gerald Gardner. Is his name? Gerald Gardner is the guy?
Yeah, he was into the little people. He liked pixies, I think. It's
Silver
really
Raven
weird.
Wolf and all that stuff. I was big into that.
Well, I think that I just heard that it was indicated that Gardner was into little people, and he was into pigs, actual physical pigs.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tribe. But
like what? Like, what do you mean by into?
He visited them. He lived with them.
I didn't know if you meant into as like that's his preference or something.
But that's what I'm talking about, because I heard a rumor recently that he was a child predator, and that's the Pict was just a metaphor for that.
That's a deep thing. I mean, the whole child predator thing. I mean, you mentioned Plato. We mentioned some of these people from the past who we look up to as great philosophers. All had young boys with them. Like, that was part of their culture. And
before
like,
the philosophers to me are scientists. Before that, I just learned a year ago, priestocrats were the people we used to listen to, and they're actually holistic and integrated. The philosophers are in their heads.
And a lot of those
in their bodies.
they would initiate their young students by, having sex with them. And it was homosexual sex. I know. And so, yeah, there's like, that's the currency that these malevolent technology using space races use in their society. They don't
so you can tell us about why we have anal rape, please.
Yeah. So they don't use dollars or gold or oil as their it's totally energy, and it's sexual life force energy.
It's the stealing someone's innocence is what most predators get off on anyway.
That's right. So it's not when people are pedophiles or when monsters are pedophiles or whatever, it's not just the psychological torture of dominating another being. There's a literal energy transfer that is a type of food for beings that can't eat real love. And so they get it from the base of your spine is your sexuality. And it's also the connection to the planet and the material realm. So by tapping into that area of the body, they are like energy vampires that take energy away. And they literally can change your direction of where you're going in time. So if you were meant to go on a particular timeline where you might have been, a leader or something, really great, and then you get sexually abused and it makes you feel self-destructive inside. And a lot of people go into drug abuse and other forms of self-anesthetizing because they can't deal with what happened to them. They don't become a great leader. They don't become a great warrior. Instead, they become a drug addict or a homeless person. And so just understand that we're looking at the broken wrecks of the husk of many, many lives that have been deformed by these malevolent practices.
The weird thing is a lot of these people we're talking about, that the people who were kind of looked up as, when you look at their private life and see what they were doing, some of these people also speak about the daemons or the entities that they're communicating with, getting revelation from, and being whispered secrets, and do this and don't do that. And they were doing these weird sexual practices, and they were receiving voices.
David Wilcock admitted that he was physically battered by his ex-wife. He's out there teaching spirituality while he's getting hit at home. That is not consistent.
Yeah, exactly.
We've heard stories and stuff, and people have looked up to as these heroes, as you say, until you find out that they're human. Not that they're human, but they're doing just despicable acts. Stephen Greer, like, I really early on and loved his work, but I've heard some of the conversations he's had at dinner tables and jokes that he tells and stuff like that, and it's just like, oh man, it just kills the magic for you. You know what I'm saying?
Usually if they're into science, they're compromised. If they're doing too much math, they're compromised. Talking too much physical materialism, they're compromised.
And sometimes they serve an agenda of the larger thing that they are attached to. So it's like, yes, we'll make sure that you get plenty of YouTube views and plenty of ad revenue, and you can easily pay your rent and your bills because you are saying the things that we want you to say, following the narrative. And of course, if you diverge from that narrative, then you get either your hands slapped or depopularized or whatever, deplatformed in some way.
Yeah, there's no reason why I should have been around all of these people. God let me in the door, and I'm saying, because I got in the door, we're all getting in the door. It's all.
I know we're friends with Jimmy Church. I've been on his show years ago. You were on his show. Is Jimmy Church kind of to blame for like always having David and Corey Goode on? I know the numbers shoot through the roof with those guys.
You got to blame Gaia. So you got to ask, is Jimmy in bed with Gaia? You got to ask that. But Jimmy is a radio show host. He was brought in as a radio show host. He used to be a sportscaster, and then he got a big red pill. He somehow broke the story of a child predator ring. He broke the story on his sports show, and then the whole world was at his doorstep, and he had to make a choice. Is he a hero? Or is he a radio show guy? And he chose radio show guy, and he got this gig. So you do the math.
Yeah, he's just reporting. Like, we wouldn't know about this stuff if it wasn't for Jimmy. If it wasn't for Coast to Coast.
Gaia's huge. Housewives loved Gaia.
And so then we have to say,
still do. A lot of them still do. I think the reason Wilcock and those guys, and this is what I'm just picking up in the spirit, they broke off from Gaia because they could start their own platform, and Gaia doesn't have to get a percentage off of their name, right? Because that's why people were subscribing. Fans. That's why people were subscribing, was because of Wilcock and Goode, and there's some other names too. But instead of letting them get a portion, hey, we start our own version, and we are, and it's coming. It's definitely coming. If it's not
Well, that's
already,
the thing.
if it's not already here yet.
You can see the ego in it. You can see that their heads got big. They made a little bit more money, and they're like, we need to take this. Quit giving everybody else a cut. We need our own thing.
Yeah.
And if Richard Ramsar, I think his name is, it's their manager who has satanic tattoos all over his body. I mean, he can't hide that. When you look at the Dark Journalist series on Secret Space Program, SSP, then you'll find out all of these things. And that's what a lot of people are just got the horse blinders on. They don't want to look at the darker stuff because if they look at it, they're new age brainwashed. But if you look at evil, all of a sudden you become it. But if you are ignorant, then that is a willing ignorance, and that itself is evil.
Thank you. All of the new age brainwashing that says what you look at, you will attract to you, and also that you're being judgmental and you have to practice forgiveness. All of that is like they're taking away your ammunition,
making you passive. And I've probably been subject to that. You know what I'm saying? I think more off because of my Christian background and being more vigilant and saying this is wrong, that's wrong, this is wrong. So I've been more, hey, let's talk about it. Let's get to the bottom.
Christians teach defense against the darkness. They really do.
But now I'm on this side of it now where I'm a little bit more open. So I don't want to just say you're evil, you're evil, you're evil. I want to kind of give them the benefit of the doubt. So that's kind of made me a little bit more passive about speaking out and things like that. I can recognize
it's all about your spine, mister. It's your spine. Your spine will tell you if there's a truth happening or not. So just reconnect with your spine and you'll know.
I feel it. I just need to speak it out maybe.
I
pick it up.
You're also on a show. Yeah.
And Cor, you were making a really good point. I think the guy's name is Roger Ramsauer, and he also did interviews under the name of Emma Gold.
Right.
And so he had a big influence also on Jordan Sather's ascendancy of his career. And I'm not being anything that is like a personal attack here. I have to say that guy, Sather, started out on a good way, like on a good footing. Then he went to Contact in the Desert. He had some kind of a meeting with Ramsauer. And then Jordan had dark circles under his eyes after that. Now, when I look at his videos, his face doesn't even look the same. That's when he started to get many more views and started to promote the whole Q conspiracy, ideology that is like, I'm not against anybody who's into that, but it's like, it's been pretty easily discredited at this point. And people were like, I was on board at first and like, no, now this seems to be like another psyop, but he got really famous and a lot of money by promoting that. It's the intelligence agencies wanted that to be promoted. He was working for Ramsauer. So yes, I'm trying to articulate this because I know that this is like, going out there, and I'm not just lodging on whatever accusations or whatever, that who controls Google? Who controls Gaiam? They are controlled by intelligence agencies. And this is not mere, conspiratorial thinking here. So
believe it.
Yes, that there's an agenda to color the ideas of the ordinary people of who are extraterrestrials and what is their agenda and what are they actually doing. And they get these willing participants who then are like, I'm special, I'm getting YouTube views, I'm getting famous because they're promoting really crap. And then when they find out that it's crap, if they don't have the integrity to turn around, then they're not okay. So there's this guy named Isaac Green that recognized that he was promoting a crap narrative, and he did a 180 and he disavowed all the stuff that he did. That guy's got integrity. Jordan Sather does not have integrity. It's not just a personal beef that I have with him. And I've been saying this literally for 2 years, and now I'm happy to see other people are finally recognizing the same truth.
Now, I've met Jordan Sather twice recently at UPARS, LA, and at Portal to Ascension. His funny names we have to mention. And Jordan is just a kid for real. And he is an actor. He reminds me of a crisis actor. But I want you to know that I've gathered some really strange evidence. When I went to the first lecture that he gave, I got there before him. I was in a smoking section on the street. And Truth, I just sent you 3 photos. You might want to look at your Facebook Messenger. Outside, so I smoked outside, went inside. Jordan shows up with 2 people dressed in white, looking like gurus. I'm like, what? Because that totally hit me, because I know Krishnamurti was set up by the Blavatsky company, that's H.P. Blavatsky, to be the new world savior, to be the guru. And that Krishnamurti found out about the plan. He was only 14 when, I mean, they like kidnapped him, I think. But anyway, he was a kid. They tried to make him a world leader. And he's like, this is bunk. You don't make world leaders. God does. And he disbanded the order eventually. He championed that. So he was a good person in a bad situation. And then he turned the situation over. So Krishnamurti is a great guy to look at.
Okay.
So we're looking at Jordan Sather. Those pictures I sent, maybe you can put them in the video, are a chalk drawing. When I went back out to smoke after Jordan had arrived, on the sidewalk, there was a chalk drawing, and it says, the law of reciprocity is off. And it says FBI and a bunch of other weird things. And I've since researched it, and it is chaos magic. And I've been to a lot of these events, and I've never seen anything like that. And I definitely tie Sather to it. Second time I met Sather, I showed him the picture, and he was really quiet. He really, he kind of ugged and awed. He didn't really say anything. And he took a picture of my picture with his camera, and that was it, because he was very annoyed that day. And since he's a kid, I left him alone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got that on the screen.
Oh, right.
Cool.
So that's kind of evidence. I felt pretty,
yeah.
Well, no, do you see the pictures? The pictures of the chalk, yeah.
Yeah, uh-huh. The ethics of reciprocity target, is off, and looks like
view target.
Yeah. Remote, and there's some other remote beta gamma view target or something. Yeah, view target.
Well, you know what remote viewing is. That's what that is.
Yeah.
So they're saying if a psychic, or they're not psychics, if a remote viewer from the FBI wants to know what happened there that night, there's the sigil for it. Now, does that work? I don't know. I mean, it looks like Common Core math to me.
They're using low-level psychic technology. So that's what everybody, it's a type of magic, and everybody needs to understand that intelligence agencies literally use what would be defined as magic, and that's normal for them, but that's not something that they would say to their ordinary congressman, but that everybody needs to know that is part of what is happening here. And
I would say they're black magicians, and they always have been from time infinitum, at least to Rome.
Totally dark magicians. And the CIA got a lot of techniques from dark societies, occult societies, that they then employ in their own torture and extraordinary rendition projects. So it's like one hand washes the other, and they're all in bed together.
And did you know that the psych drugs actually come from voodoo?
Doesn't surprise me at all. Yeah, I want to say atropine is one, atropine and belladonna, these are some of the ancient ones, and also brugmasia, which is angel's trumpet, which causes a type of amnesia and also compliant behavior. And
and they make zombies out of the powder. I mean, it's crazy. The film, based on a true story, or the book, is The Serpent and the Rainbow. Mm-hmm. And you can watch it, and it shows you how we got our pharmaceuticals.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a lot of good stuff in there about tobacco as well. Tobacco use in ritual with spirits, dealing with tobacco. Let me ask you this. Let me just get your opinion and what you feel. Who is David Wilcock's sources? Is it make it up as you go sources, or are these entities, or are they real people? It's, because you can always say, hey, my sources tell me this, and it would, all of this crazy. Okay, what's your proofs? Well, I have a really close source, and my sources tell me this. And it's always just crazy information, knowledge. My sources tell me. What is that?
Well, he gets a lot of emails. So that's like phishing. Mm-hmm. You crowdsource, right? So he does get real insiders, probably a little bit. But yeah, I do think it's a narrative. I think they've known how to do this trick, how to keep people believing over and over the same lies, even when it doesn't happen. And it's a phenomenon, but I give the floor up. That's my opinion.
So Wilcock and others, they do have connections, sometimes several degrees away, to intelligence agencies that feed them information in order to control their narrative. And they also do stuff with siphoning ideas off of different websites. So Cliff High is great. I'm not a total endorsement of him, but his work is really worthy. And what he did was he left like a package, like an idea package on the internet to kind of test out where they were getting their ideas from. And they basically it was like a ploy. They took that set of ideas, Wilcock and company, and promoted it as if it were their own. And Cliff High knew exactly that it came from him. He had left it there as like a plant. So all of that tells me that Wilcock and others, they're not getting their information by using their own inner psychic vision. They're not sitting there in deep meditation and learning all these things, then writing a blog about it. They're doing some kind of internet research.
He used to, though, right? At least he says.
Well, wait a minute. I actually talked to David about this.
Okay.
So I asked David, what have you seen lately? What are your visions? What are we going through? And David said, I no longer have visions. I leave that to Corey Goode.
Look at that. Look at that. And saying you no longer have, like having visions, that's like being able to run as a marathon runner. Like if your inner vision isn't working, it's like your plumbing isn't working right. Like you got to go see the urologist. Something is not okay.
You can't turn it off. It's impossible.
That's what I'm saying. Like you've got a blockage.
All right, we've covered Wilcock, we've covered Corey Goode. Emery Smith is another name that keeps coming up in the chat here. You know what I'm saying? Very similar. We have other friends, Laura Eisenhower, you know what I'm saying? I like a lot of her stuff. This secret space program stuff it gets kind of weird. It's like this secret, it's like this automatic approval. Like you have to, I am somebody of interest because I was, as a child, taken to these jump rooms and things like that. But what about the term Corey's Kids? There's this term, Corey's Kids, that I think I seen you share that.
Journalist.
So he came up with it, and I seen you post it for the first time. I'm like, Corey's Kids. My mind immediately went to Teresa Yannaros, and I think she is one of them.
And Jordan Sather.
Jordan Sather.
That's the two.
Justin Delchamps, and there's all these other young, beautiful YouTube people who are like, hey, what's up, YouTube? These are the aliens and blah blah blah. And
they have no
Corey's
background
Kids,
in
right?
spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
Teresa Yannaros is trained as a journalist. She has absolutely no background in spirituality. Jordan Sather worked at a health food store. I mean, anybody can do that. So these people are not experts or awesome or anything. They're actors.
Thank you. I'm completely agreeing. I just need to jump in and say that's one of the yellow caution flags. When you see someone who's really young, who doesn't really have a background or an education, being artificially elevated, it's like, why are they even there? And again, not trying to pick fights with anyone, but Laura Eisenhower, it's like, why is she in this? Why is she on a stage? What is her background? What's her expertise? Where does this come from?
Her name is definitely...
That's what it is.
Hey,
and so whatever, just because you have entity attachments, because you're part of a lineage, like, is that a real reason for you to be on a stage giving workshops or whatever? So, and again, when I would speak critically about Sather, people would say, Aurora, you're so jealous. Like, what is wrong with you? Your ego is talking. And so I've just been like very consistently saying my things. This is not a personality conflict that I'm having with any of these people. I question their authenticity. I question their motivations. I question their ascendancy.
We all should. Everyone, you should question me, everything. Don't just take it just because someone.
That's right. TruthSeekah, I'm very skeptical of you.
You should be. It definitely should be, man. You know what I'm saying? All of these people, we've just been kind of just hook, line, and sinker. And it's been something over the years for me and a lot of my friends to see someone accept them because they have the platform. You see them on all of these stages, nice camera work, nice transitions. They're wearing a suit and they're speaking like they're authority figures and they're making it up as they go. This is going on in where I come from, the Christian realm, the church realm. These guys who are having divine revelations of heaven and divine revelations of hell and all these books that they're marketing, and they kind of make it up as they go. But as long as they present it just right, for some reason, people they believe it. Like I've had all of these people in Jordan Maxwell has been a big one. Jordan, you know what I'm saying? People just think that what he's saying is truth because the way he's an older man of wisdom and of stature and sharing it. Jordan Maxwell is off on a lot of stuff, but he's on a lot of stuff too. Let's say that. But there's something there that we have to question it, not just because your teacher told you this or this, your grandfather told you. Your grandfather could have been full of it too. You know what I'm saying? So we do have
Jordan
to question
Maxwell
people.
is like on a spiritual mission. He's another one of those people that has a bloodline issue. And believe me, that's the name of the game, is to clear your family bloodline, all of us.
Mm-hmm.
But his family used to own what we now call Washington, D.C. So he feels a soul contract to clear up Washington. Everyone has their own individual stories, and it's definitely not a conglomeration. These are very specific stories to very specific people. And
I love Jordan Maxwell. Like I genuinely, like I'm doing this because of Jordan Maxwell. You know what I'm saying?
And that's his spiritual mission, and he's on it. Yeah. But he can't tell you what God had for breakfast. He's not channeling. He's not doing anything.
And
he's not
meditating. You're right.
Hello.
I will say this: Jordan Maxwell is from Gulf Breeze, Florida, or Pensacola, Florida, and this an hour away from me. I go there a lot. There's two roads that run parallel with each other, and they cross Jordan and Maxwell Street, and he's from Pensacola. I thought that was
that's cool.
Yeah. And maybe with some of these people, like I don't really know Jordan Maxwell's work, but maybe some people are just humans who have integrity, who are on a quest, who are seekers and intellectualists. Yeah, that I mean, we got to leave the door open that not everybody is co-opted and corrupt, and some people are just regular, flawed, but well-intentioned humans that are learning on at the same time that we're all learning.
I've been on a lot of those shows and podcasts and things, and like your story only takes you so far, and then you have to kind of. Well, there's this other part I haven't told you about. I was taken aboard. You know, this happened ever since I was a kid. I just found out, and the memories just came to me on this midlife, past life regression that I was taking the jump rooms at 3 years old. And so, okay, let's get you on. Let's talk about it. And then you could do the circuits and stuff. We all have awesome stories. Every single person listening to this right now could come on here as a guest, and most of these people have been on as guests, and they have awesome stories and something to offer the collective. But it's when you kind of step out and say, you know what, I think I deserve a little bit more airtime or something like that, and you kind of add to the story, or you embellish and all this kind of stuff. And it takes integrity not to do that, you know.
And I think a lot of what people are sharing as memories are cover memories for what was really ritual abuse, and something that was too horrific for them to actually recognize that was happening to them. And it takes too much courage to get up on a stage and say something like, I was raped and sodomized or ritually abused. It's easier to say, I went to Mars.
You're right.
Oh my God, what a freaking point. I think she figured it out. But I tweeted at Jason Rice, the new Superboy of the Secret Space Program, because we did an interview with him. So he knows my name, at least. I'm not a stranger. And so I said, Jason Rice, you have repressed memory syndrome. You were hypnotized to unrepress the memory. And I did point out that trauma must have come up at that point, because that's when all your trauma would come out, like horrifying. And then he has no idea what hypnosis is. No one does. And that repressed memory syndrome happened in the early 90s. It was all over all the talk shows, that people were just remembering that they were molested as a child. My father molested me. All of these things. And some of the people proved that the doctor they were working with, the hypnotherapist, put those ideas in their head. Now, I've been doing past life regressions for 25, almost 30 years. And I've never tried it, but I'm pretty sure I could get people to think and see things, because I only go to the right places and go with the soul. I don't know how to do it wrong, but I'm sure I could figure it out if I had to.
Power of suggestion. What is that over your shoulder? That's a great, oh my God. Like you really have that power to do that. And kind of implant that there. The one thing, maybe we all have this in common, but I'm finding this, is the trauma.
Yeah, we're trauma-based mind control. It all starts from trauma. I have my own video about my life, which is The Cosmic Core is my podcast. And Cosmic Core Part 3 is my podcast about me. And it's 2 hours about my life. And the first thing I bring up is trauma and how trauma changes us in every way possible.
For the good,
but
maybe?
Back to the apple.
Either or, you know, it could change you for the good, right? Or it could change you to the drug scenario, like you said.
I think
it doesn't matter. It changes you.
You can transcend and heal trauma, but not everybody does. Like, you have to recognize that it happened to you, and you have to do the work. And it's the hardest thing in the world, because you have to look at the worst thing that's ever happened to you and somehow deal with it. So a lot of people bury it or deny it, or they'll do a cover memory that wasn't what was really happening in that room. Something else completely different happened in that room.
The cover memories are real, because you can see fairies and unicorns. Okay, so I have many clients have been molested, my clients.
Yeah.
And what they do, they left their bodies and they sat with angels. They did not have the experience. And that's what she's talking about, a cover memory.
Yeah.
You had to go somewhere else. And then so that place that you went became more real than what was physically happening there.
Totally get it. And so occult societies, dark, not to use that word in a negative way, but, you know, dark societies throughout history, they've used ways, they've figured out like a whole, like a way of breaking people and then building them back up again using trauma to make them think that they've had these things happen to them, and usually to implant a false sense of specialness. That's what the whole monarch thing is. Like, you get traumatized and raped, but they tell you that you're very special and you think that you run the world, but you don't really run the world. And, you know, all. So I had to learn about all these things, because like you started to understand what motivates certain people, and also to compare it to my own experience. But they tried to do something like that to me in the experience of walking in, and I transcended it. So that's the whole thing. That's why I'm not a megalomaniac. That's why I don't say, I'm Jesus and I'm running the joint and I'm in charge of everything. It's like, no.
Some do. Some do, though.
That's the
The Messiah complex of Russell Brand.
Yeah.
Yes. And I mean, like, I understand where they're coming from.
And you've been with him. You've met him, right? You got pictures with Russell Brand, you know?
I got branded by Russell Brand.
Oh, Lord.
So what do you think about him? He's just like wrapped up in his own story and
I like
with
Russell
veils.
Brand. I like Russell Brand. A lot of people don't. You've posted different things on him. You probably know more than most of us. You've hung out with him.
Well, believe it or not, on the soul realm, I have counseled Russell Brand for about 7 years, counseled his soul. And I know that's weird, but I have a video on it on Occult Priestess on YouTube that explains it. So he's my soul brother, but I don't like his ego. I really don't. I must say that.
It's the narcissism mixed with Kundalini, and which can be very disgusting.
He does. I can tell you that he does have the capacity to become a Kundalini person. If he's
been doing teachings on it, and those teachings are beautiful, but it's draped in narcissism, and that's one thing we got to be careful of, you know.
He'll never break through the other side without a good guru.
Yeah.
And with the Kundalini thing, like in the same idea of like guarding yourself against some of these other forms of mass meditations and stuff, like at the conference that I recently went to, there were some Kundalini workshops, and I was invited to participate, and I just said no thank you, because you got to understand, like, don't jump in a pool, you're going to be sharing germs with everybody in that pool. Like,
exactly. I was offered to go on Dark Journalist. I was offered Dark Journalist to go on the show. I was like, oh my God. But they wanted me to do a mass cleansing meditation, and I said, that is hygienically dangerous for me.
Thank you.
So I refused. I'm not a sellout. It's not that I don't want to go on Dark Journalist. I'd chew on a dog to do that, but I can't do it the wrong way.
Yeah. And people that do like, let's do a mass meditation for peace, mass meditation for ascension. It's kind of like if someone has a GoFundMe campaign, you're like giving money, but then what are they doing with your money? And you got to make sure that they're not spending it on shady things.
You send them the energy, but make sure that they're going to be good host with that energy.
And you can do that. Like, let's say if your energy is like a dollar bill of psychic energy, you can write on that dollar bill, only to be used for, you know, cool and uplifting projects, not malevolent, you know, horror. And then send it in.
I'll say this. This is one thing that I find cool. I've done a lot of personal sessions, healing sessions with people, one-on-one, where they commission you and they pay a fee or whatever to do a private session with you, guided meditation, healing, past life regression, inner wound healing, stuff like that. There's something different when there is an exchange where this person has to show up too. That money for me, you know what I'm saying? Money is just a symbol. Okay, if I'm willing to pay for this service, for me, the work is already done, because they want it bad enough that they're willing to pay their hard-earned money for a healing. You know what I'm saying? The money is symbolic for them, their faith in really wanting it. So when you go into the session, you go into the meditation, you're not dealing with just a skeptic or just a random people who are like, hey, let me click on this link. Like, you're finding these people who really want it so much that they're willing to pay for it. And what happens? They get it. They get what they're looking for. That's the beautiful thing about it. When it's not versus this big open session, you're dealing with skeptics, you're dealing with people who are there for the wrong reasons. They're recording it to, you know, exploit you, like all of this kind of stuff, man. So it's really different when someone they have to offer something, you know, and that goes deep with making some type of peace offering, love offering, sacrificial blood offering, you know, in different levels of where it goes with spirits and gods and things like that. But you have to offer something. You can't just show up empty-handed and be a spectator. So even with your energy, even if you know it or not, you're bringing it in. The good energy, the bad energy, the skepticism, it's part of that collective. And so you have to be careful. You just walk into you'll get possessed. You'll get possessed. I've been there. It happened to me. You know what I'm saying? And thank
you for admitting that you got some balls there, kid.
Oh my God. And that's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm being open, is because people are getting possessed, you know? Yeah. But then again, we don't want to, what I always say, we don't want to stifle or discourage exploration because you might get possessed. Be careful. No, we have to still encourage exploration and meditation and Kundalini and things, but there's ways to do it, to guard yourself and be careful.
You get an energetic immune system. Like before I go out into the world, I have an immune system so I don't get everybody else's colds and bugs and flu. And it's the same thing with any kind of psychic or energy work.
Mm-hmm. And there's a scripture in the Bible that's really cool because it talks about healing with the laying on of hands. And it says to lay hands on no man suddenly. Don't just be walking up. And there's this thing where what they have is stronger than what you know and what you're walking in, and that thing jumps on you, and here you go walking away with depression and thinking of suicidal thoughts and weird energy, and you was on a mountaintop before you did that. And so you have to be careful of this stuff.
That's the thing. This stuff used to be a calling because it's fashionable. It's dangerous, but we need to burn our hands on the stove because I believe we're in time of graduation, and you're either going to graduate or you're not. Fly or die.
Yes. We're talking about being initiated, right? So we're talking about what I get messages all the time. What order are you from? Are you in a Masonic order? Are you in an esoteric order? And not physically, but spiritually, I am initiated into an order. I've been through the schooling, the game of life. I have the scars, literally scars, to prove this stuff. And this is our calling. We were fashioned to bring forth this information. We were fashioned to bring forth this energy and healing and empathy to the planet. And then something we've been cultivated from birth to do. Now we have these charlatans coming in saying, oh, I was too. And they don't have no credentials. They don't have no scars. They don't have. So, we are in an esoteric order, as you will, universal mystery school that we're all initiated into. And so
you've got to understand
trying to infiltrate that.
There's a history of this. You're not just making this up. And it's the Great White Lodge of the Illuminati. Mm-hmm. And of course, just like Satanism took the cross and turned it upside down, these people have taken the illuminated and turned it into the dim ones, the darkness, the false light, basically. So they've even taken our language that we used to use in the old books, which no one reads anymore, apparently. But I was told during my Kundalini that I am Illuminati, and I was told what that means, that we do go to school out of our bodies, and we're part of a very large, beautiful college, if you will. And it's the
Luciferians, like the true Luciferians, the true light bringers.
I don't like to use the word Lucifer at all because he's not one of my gods, and I don't even recognize him as an entity.
Well, I'm just talking about the word itself, with that word, not even trying to say it is a being, but the word Lucifer literally translates to light bearer.
We got to stay away from that word because it's been co-opted.
Let me jump in for 1 minute, because what these societies do, occult, Illuminati, Luciferian, they find like little recipes that worked, how to control reality. It's like, we don't really know how to cook, but we got this one recipe for pancakes. And so we know how to make pancakes. And then they are like, we are in charge because we know how to make pancakes, but they don't actually, like, if you really know about cooking, you know, this is how you use leavening ingredients to make quick bread or to make muffins or any kind of other thing. They only know how to do pancakes. And they go around to all these different tribal and indigenous communities and try to find their recipes. Like, oh, do you have a recipe for how to control reality? We want to take elements from that. So that's where they take botanicals from the Amazon basin, or they'll take spell work from Northern Europe or whatever, any of these things, and they try to cobble it together. And what I'm trying to say is, don't be unduly impressed by that approach, because they don't really know cuisine. If you really know cuisine, you know how to make magic in reality. You don't need a recipe. You know, like, these flavors go together. I know how to make bread rise. I know how to do everything. And your spells or magical things work. So they are very low level practitioners, but they purport to be really fancy, but all they know is how to make pancakes. And then they can put blueberry pancakes or banana pancakes or what, like, they don't really know what the F they're doing, is what I'm trying to say.
And you can get in trouble that way.
They make bad pancakes all the time, guys. Yeah. They make whatever waffles that get stuck to the waffle iron and don't actually, they get blowback all the time. And they get it more and more, especially in the past 5 or 6 years. I've noticed a lot of their spells blowing back on them. And it just keeps getting, it's like kind of fun to watch. It's like, they screwed it up again. Blah, ha, ha. Like, whatever. the Wile E. Coyote contraption blew up in their face and it didn't work the way they thought it would.
That's the promise that I've been told and that I've been given over the years, is that this is just going to get funnier and funnier until everyone is laughing. And that's the ascension.
Yeah.
Joy.
And I don't think of the ascension as like a biblical Christian literal
Rapture,
thing.
no.
Words, wearing beautiful white dresses, even though it's a poetic vision of that. But it's a transformation of our metabolism inside. Like, we're going from being dense and solid and material to raising our frequency to being less dense and to being essentially made out of light. And it used to be that you had to die in order to do this. Like, you die and your body decomposes and then your spirit and your consciousness can move in different directions. But now we don't have to physically die. We can literally metamorphosize the way a caterpillar changes from a butterfly, from a caterpillar into a butterfly in the same body. So that's the big thing. Everybody treats their body like it's disposable. I'm going to die and I'm going to get a new body. I'm going to die. I'm going to go somewhere else. And that's why people don't take care of their bodies. And like, no, you got to take care of the water that you drink and the food that you eat and the exercise that you do, because your body actually takes you to the next level of reality.
Well, so would that mean that so whether your body does deteriorate, your body does wither, would you, as a walk-in, be able to find another host on the earth before your body ends or whatever? Because I was talking to someone who was talking even yesterday was talking about how there's this notion of these people are trying to, the ascension is to be able to stay on the planet and to move from one body to the next and live almost like the Avatar, almost like an Avatar.
Yeah. So I'll make a distinction. No, my path is not to, I don't do disposable bodies. And so I had to make a clear distinction when I came here and people thought I was a body snatcher. No, I'm not some opportunist that just chose to jump into this body. And also this body has a lot of neurological damage. It was very difficult for me to integrate into this body. And the whole point is, I'm not just going to be like, well, I'm done. I throw away the body and I go somewhere else. I'm actually invested in this body. And that's what everybody needs to understand. Like, I'm not here to just be like, do a bunch of stuff casually off the cuff, and then my body dies and I go somewhere else. I care about this body so much because it is transforming with me. Yeah. And then that energy goes into a new format. We all go someplace else. Everybody should be caring for their body this much. Like your hair, your teeth, your eyeballs. These are the things that are like the puzzle pieces that we use to build the next layer of who we're going to be. Your body really matters. Invest in your body. Buy really good food. You don't have to care about whether you're late on your electric bill. Like, buy really good food because that matters more than whether your credit rating is perfect and all of those type of things.
So it's not like the Chucky movie scenario where you're about to die and you can just transfer your consciousness into something else to stay here on the earth, right?
So that really good questions, because I love this. Because using technology, they're like, oh, I'll zap into and out of bodies. It's easy, body hopping like that. Doing it naturally is actually really challenging. So you have to be like being a virtuoso on the piano. You have to be really good at what you're doing to be able to get into a body and stay in that body and maintain its health and body processes. And then the real culmination of being the best virtuoso you can be is ascension, where you take these ingredients and transform them into the next level. So you don't leave behind a corpse. You don't leave behind rotting.
So it literally is K-Pax, is what you're saying.
You got it, man.
Literally
you totally
K-Pax.
got it.
And if you guys haven't watched that movie, make sure you watch it. And it's funny you bring that up, because just 2 days, it's synchronicity for me. My daughter's 14 and she hasn't seen it, and I've been telling my wife we need to watch K-Pax with her, and then here we go talking about K-Pax.
And you met a real walk-in, and Aurora could even talk to your kid and say, I'm a real walk-in.
I'd be happy to.
Because you know what though? So that's funny, because my wife was saying she didn't get the end of it. Why was he? And I don't want to give it away.
Right.
If you haven't seen it, but my wife had questions at the end of it, and we kind of both did, and so I'm glad we had this conversation. So
definitely, I'm getting chills. I didn't know that movie until this was when I lived back in Woodstock. A friend of mine who knew me and knew my story was like, "You really need to see this movie." And we didn't have like TV; we watched it on his computer. And there's one scene where the alien walk-in is talking to the therapist about how he travels here, and he says, "Oh, I came here on a beam of light." And there's kind of like a rainbow that is being projected through this crystal as the camera moves across. And it's like, that is the way that I traveled here. I traveled here on a beam of consciousness through this rainbow colored aperture. And no, I don't have a clank metal spaceship. I can't bring you to my spaceship and prove that that's how I came here. But what I can do is I can share ideas with you. And that's very similar to the character in the movie. He had a book that he was writing all these different formulae down. And that's what I do on my these are math formulae, and I'm trying to teach you this language. And so that's what I kept thinking, like it would be totally obvious to everyone after a couple of years, like, wow, she's got all these paintings, she's doing higher dimensional math. But again, like it takes time for everyone to get up to speed and recognize what's going on. But yeah, like I bring concepts as my validity of the veracity of my truth.
Yeah. And then you find out you're not alone though, when there's other souls doing very similar things, and it's encouraging. It's okay. I don't have to, like, you got check out this work. I'll go on this podcast and not be laughed at or whatever the case is. There's other people doing this. There's starseeds, there's indigos, these children and things
really
like that. So
point.
it becomes
I'm not alone. We're here working as a team, and also everybody's got their individual mission. You have to be able to do your mission on your own, even if no one else is around, because otherwise it's like you have to have integrity of your own project. So yeah, I can't rely upon anybody else to give me my ideas. I've got to have my own ideas. And people are doing it through music and art and healing and all of these wonderful things. And it really is a beautiful group effort.
Wow.
We are the band, the celestial band, and we have arrived.
So this is the song that we sang, man. Well, we've done over 2 hours. I've enjoyed every minute of it, and I'll probably end it with more questions for you guys, and it would be good. I'm glad we did this together, but I'd like to have both of you on individually by yourself so we could just go really deep into your stories and stuff. So if y'all want to do that, shoot me a date when we get off here. We'll make it happen. But really enjoyed it, guys.
I want to thank Aurora.
Yeah.
Thank you, Aurora.
Thank you for coming. I had no idea about your work, and I'm glad I went to your website and checked out your stuff too. So thank you guys so much. Go ahead and plug y'all stuff one more time right here at the end of the show so people can check you guys out on social media or on your website as well.
Yes, so the best way to find me is to go to my website, which is flyingrainbowlasagna.com. And I spell lasagna with an E on the end. But pretty much if you just do an internet search for the keywords Flying Rainbow Lasagna, you'll find my video series, my artwork, webinars, and everything else. And I encourage you to enroll and apply and check out all of my work. Thank you.
Awesome. Core?
occultpriestess.com, and if you Google my name or DuckDuckGo my name, you'll see all of the work I've done. I've been on YouTube for over 9 years, never monetized, thank you, and still only 2,000 subscribers, so please subscribe, give me some love, and find my blog, The Occultist in the Corner. That's where I keep the hidden secret stuff for the advanced people.
Good stuff. Y'all make sure y'all go and support. And I really enjoyed this episode, and as the chat's saying, they all enjoyed you guys as well. So we'll do it again pretty soon. Thank you guys for coming on, hanging out with me. I appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, TruthSeekah.
All right, guys. Peace and shalom. We'll do it again.
Have a wonderful day.
Namaste.
All right. Corinne, the Occult Priestess. Really cool. I've been friends with her for some years now on social media. I've been checking out some of her videos, and she drops in from time to time to check out some of my stuff too. So like-minded people building together, and I really like that. So, and Aurora was awesome too. There's a pleasant surprise. So we'll have to do shows just there's so many places we can go with all of it. So good stuff. I'm glad we talked on the Corey Goode, David Wilcock thing. That's just so weird, man. It's like, you know what I'm saying, money talks, you know, and those guys have funding behind them, and you come out of the gate swinging like that, with like Corey Goode having all of this crazy graphic art and crazy stories and borrowing from people's stories. It's crazy, but at the same time, like, you have to fight for what you believe in, and you don't just let somebody come into your space. We feel like we own this, like we have a part of us, like we paid for this. This isn't just, we're not just YouTubers. We're not just random people, like, you know what I'm saying? So you have to fight for the things that you believe in, and you don't let somebody come on there, try to change the narrative or say this is this and that is that. So really good to have that chat today. I'm going to do this right quick just because I like to kind of give shouts out to people. I got some mail in. Mail time. What's the song from Blue's Clues? Makes me want to wag my tail. I got some mail. This is a package I got from this is from Brett Stacy. He's a patron. He's a supporter. He's a brother, and he sends me little cool things from time to time, and I like to open it on air. He sent me this anointing oil from Israel. I have a bunch of really cool stuff that he sent me over the last few months and stuff, and I got a bunch of really cool stuff from fans and the audience and stuff. So I'm going to open this on air, and I'm going to explain to the listeners who are listening on the podcast in what it is. I have an idea what it is. He's told me what was coming, but I haven't seen it. So I'm going to open this, and if you'd like to send mail or whatever the case is, the address is in the description as well. So check it out. Opening it together. Big box. Heck yeah. So this is pretty cool, man. Come out pretty good. It's in plastic. I'm gonna pull it out, this plastic. So what it is, it's like a wall flag or a banner. And it's funny because he's always quoting me on my song, Unworthy. And I said, got me raising up my banner, got me praising his name, got me lifting up the standard because I'm not the same. But it's this several of the names of God. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 names of God, it looks like. Jehovah, the Lord, my provider, is Jehovah Jireh. I use that a lot in my music. Jehovah Jireh. Jehovah Rapha is the Lord, my healer. Jehovah Nisi, the Lord, my banner. This is my banner. I go to war, let people know this is my banner. Jehovah Shalom. We end every episode with Shalom, peace, Shalom. It means the Lord is my peace. Jehovah Roah means the Lord my shepherd, and it has the Hebrew in it as well. And Jehovah Sitkenu is how that's pronounced. It's T-S-I-D-K-E-N-U, Sitkenu. Jehovah Sitkenu is the Lord my righteousness, and I just I feel it, man, even as I'm saying these names and evoking these sacred names of God. What is God's name? And it brings us to this whole thing again, and I'll go on tangents about this, about the name of God and what is his name, what is her name, what is its name. All of these is God's name, right? I am that I am is what he told Moses to call him in the book of what is it, Exodus, and he says I am that I am, and that translates in the Hebrew to Ahaya, Ashar, Ahaya, or Ahaya, Asher, Ahaya, however you want to pronounce it. And it means I will be that. He says, I am that I am, and I will be whatsoever I will be. And that's deep for me because it means I'll be whatever you need me to be. And here's just an example. If you need me to be your provider, I'll be your provider. If you need me to be your healer, I'll be your healer. You need me to be your banner. You need me to be your peace, I'll be your peace. I'll give you peace. You need me to be your shepherd. You need me to watch over you, watch out for you. I'll do that. I'll do that for you. You need me to be your righteousness. I am your righteousness. I've provided righteousness for you. And so these names of God are beautiful, and there's so many more. Whatever you, in I am that I am, and I will be whatsoever I will be. Let you know that whatever you need, whatever it is that you need, he'll be it. You know, I'll be your strong tower. I'll be your lover. I'll be your friend. I'll be your father. That's a big one for me. Never had a father in my life. Come to Yahweh. I am that I am. He said, look, you need a father? Let me be your father. And spiritually, that moves into the physical realm. He comes into my life as a father. And this is where it becomes tangible. It becomes beautiful in this song and dance with the creator of the universe. And it's not just an idea or a theory or some dead book that talks about this stuff, but it becomes real in our lives. So that's the beautiful thing about the names of God. So Brett Stacy, I appreciate the fan mail and the friend mail as well, and everything else you've sent me over the years, man. Thank you so much, and that's awesome. I'm gonna hang it up behind me or beside me just so I'll always see it. And he says it helps him, you know, when you're in the time of need or in doubting or just in a strong season or whatever the case is. You look at that banner, and that's what those things are used for: banners and necklaces and prayer beads and crosses and incense and a lot of these statues and things like that. They're used to almost be as a monument that when we look at them, they remind us of something. Shoot, I have a picture right here, and I'll show you guys watching on stream. But it's a cutout old picture of me and my wife. This was back in 2000. Look at that smile, both of those smiles. Look at that, man. This reminds me of something, right? It reminds me of a time when I fell in love with Jesus again. It reminds me of struggle. It reminds me of being set free. I was only a couple months out of being into really dark witchcraft and going schizophrenic and going crazy. And then the light of Christ came into my life. This picture, it reminds me of that, so I can look at that, right? And it instantly brings me back. Here's a cross and things like that. These symbols mean different things to us. And so I've got so much stuff around here, and we all wear crosses or carry Bibles. And when you pray, you hold that Bible close to you. There's no significance in the Bible, in that physical book that's there. There's no people like treat it like the flag, like you can't burn it, you can't throw it away, you have to bury it or dispose of it a certain type of way. But there's nothing in those pages in that book but what it represents to you, like what the stuff represents to you. And that's why we want to take back words. We want to take back the term occult. Core goes by the occult priestess. And so many people will hear occult. Oh, you're a priestess of the occult. The occults are the dark arts. No, the occult means that which is hidden. And I like to point out that Jesus taught occult knowledge. Jesus taught hidden knowledge, that you had to dig, that you had to find the meanings and the metaphors and the allegory and the parables about what he meant. You had to think about it. You had to dig. He gave stuff for just the lay people, little basic stuff. But for those who were close to him, he made them dig, and he gave them some really deep nuggets. And so we have to take those words back, take the occult back, because it means hidden knowledge. And we speak hidden knowledge. We study hidden knowledge. We preach hidden knowledge. We also speak open knowledge as well. But so you have the knowledge part of it there with the occult. And just like I mentioned, we kind of, I guess, disagreed a little bit. But even as we talk about the Luciferian thing, and so that's a word that I have mentioned several times in the past that really rubbed people the wrong way, because when you hear Luciferian, you think Lucifer, you think devil, you think fallen angel. Your mind immediately goes to these things we were taught in church or whatever the case is. But in the Bible, there's no such character by the name of Lucifer at all. That is not even a title of a character. That's a title that means light bringer. And it's talking about Venus. We're talking about Venus at the beginning of the show. Lucifer is a representation of the bright and morning star. The brightest star or planet in the morning sky is Venus, until the sun rises and Venus is falls from grace. Lucifer falls from the heavens, and the Son of God, rises in all of his glory to shine his brilliance, and all the other stars bow down. And so it's a symbol of the allegory there. So the real term Lucifer or Luciferian simply means light bringer, and the bright and morning star, which even says that Jesus is the bright and morning star, or even the day star, right? You have all of these terms, man. Lucifer, occult, man, so many more that, we Illuminati, right? We say, hey, I'm a member of the Illuminati. You're like, hold on, what do you mean? You were petitioned through the WhatsApp and then you joined the Illuminati? All of these Illuminati people trying to get you to join, they're from Kenya and you have to pay them money and all this kind of weird stuff. But the Illuminati, what that really means, and she kind of went into some detail about being illuminated, right? And so early Christians were called the Illuminati because they were illuminated with the white light of Christ. You are the light bringers. You are the light bearers. And the Bible just, man, it uses that term over and over again about being illuminated with the light of Christ. And what do you do with your light? Do you hide it under a basket? Do you shine it in the midst of the darkness for everyone to see, to illuminate those who need the way? We're all roaming through the midst of darkness, and we're looking for that light to help us get to where we're trying to go. And so that's what the word Illuminati means, the light bringers or the light bearers. So yeah, it's a beautiful term, and we're taking those terms back. I even know Christians who won't deal with the rainbow anymore. The rainbow originally, as far as we're dating back, a symbol for God's promises, God's covenant with mankind, that when you've seen this rainbow, it reminds you of my covenant. And the scripture says that. And so there's Christians who won't wear a rainbow bracelet. They won't wear a rainbow t-shirt. They've given it because now if you wear a rainbow, you have a rainbow sticker on your car, it means you're gay. And they don't want to be, so they just gave it to them. I'm not giving nothing. I'm taking it back. I'm taking the all-seeing eye back. I'm taking all of this symbol. I'm taking sacred geometry. I'm taking all of it, and all of it's going to be purified. And so hats off to people like Illuminati Congo, who's kind of done the same thing, and he still gets it from day to day about being in the Illuminati and being all this kind of stuff. So, you know what I'm saying? To the pure, all things are pure. I'm not giving them nothing. They didn't, even if it's something about demonic or Satan, they don't have any type of power to create. Only power that those type of entities have is to confuse and to mimic. They can take something that's righteous, something that's beautiful, and anything that comes from above is beautiful. They have the ability to take that and put a spin on it. Take the cross. What do Satanists do? Did they come up with a new symbol, a new cross? No. They take the cross and they turn it upside down. What do Satanists do? Did they come up with a new symbol? Yeah, they got the upside down star, the Baphomet. You turn it. No, they just taking these Christian symbols or spiritual symbols and they invert them. Turned your symbol upside down. What happens if you're in a gang and you write that name upside down, or you draw that symbol upside down, or you put a mark through it? That's war. That means war. So they don't have the power to create anything, just to pervert and to turn it upside down. So that's the same thing with, you know what I'm saying, the Baphomet, which is a great symbol, sacred symbol. Shout out to Brett Stacy, just gave us a donation, man. Thank you. So you're awesome, brother. Brett Stacy, and I think it was Austin Kerr at the beginning of the show as well, you gave a donation to. Thank you guys for donating to the stream. And Brett Stacy, man, you've always come through, man. Thank you for going above and beyond, brother. You're awesome. He says Yeshua HaMashiach Mashianu. That's a new one. I haven't heard that one. Have to look that up. Be with you all, John 1:8. And I want to look that up while we're on stream. But taking these symbols, turning them upside down, we look at the Baphomet, and you think that's a satanic symbol. That symbol in the Testament of Solomon was given to Solomon from God by the angel Michael. Gave him the 5-pointed star, the pentagram, to give him authority over spirits and as a symbol of protection, to use that symbol in the form of a ring. So that's why you would see people who were into Solomonic magic, who were into any types of form of magic, what they will do, they will draw a pentagram, get in the middle of the pentagram, so they'll be protected from any type of spirits that were going to approach them, whether it's to meditation, astral travel, or performing a magical rite where these entities will approach you. So that symbol was given as something of protection. And then so they take it and they just pervert it. They invert it, turn it upside down. I'm not sure. I'm trying to figure out what this word means, Brett. Let me know. It says, okay, the Hebrew, it's Hamashiach. The word Hamashiach, if you guys don't know, it means the Messiah. But I don't know about this Moshano. Let's see. I might have to dig deeper into that one a little bit, brother, unless you can let me know in chat. But yeah, thank you guys for the support, and thank you for everything. Really had fun with this episode. We did a longer episode. Most people like the longer episodes. You know, it's just the whole thing about having a longer episode is the fact that you got to find stuff with the guests that you can build upon, and you have interesting people on. Like sometimes, I mean, there was a time several months ago I just did 30 minutes with a guy, and I was like, hey man, appreciate you. Talk to you later. You know, so those longer episodes usually mean that, you know, there's some good info and some good knowledge being shared back and forth, and we're on a similar page. So that's what's really cool about that. So really enjoyed it again. Yeah, I think that's it, man. If anybody has any questions in the chat, I'll try to answer some questions really quick, go back over some of these if I can, but let me know if you guys have any questions or any comments, and I'll try to read those in the stream here in the last few minutes. Just to let you guys know too, tonight we do have the School of the Mystics. We'll be reading from some texts that we started last week, and it's going to be good. It was good last week, and hopefully it's going to be even better this week. So Thursday nights, 7 p.m. Those who are patrons, you get access to that even for $1 a month, whatever it is. But you know, you'll get the emails with the links and all that kind of stuff. Let's see. Okay, so Christy Lee, you guys know I was on Christy Lee's podcast last night, which I'm always on every Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Central. I live streamed my end from on the YouTube channel just to let people know what it looks like on the back end, what we're doing here, and then as well as just to kind of let you guys know who haven't made the transition to Wednesday night blog talk. So that's what we do. But yeah, just kind of creating content, letting you guys know about that. So that was available too. It was really good last night. We get into a lot more prayer, meditation, activation, and Christy does readings and stuff over the air as well. So Christy's saying she would like to have Core on her show, the Occult Priestess. That would be really cool. From Murderous Herodias or Horrendous, do you think Hitler did what Jesus would have done if he was alive, knowing that he had the power, knowing he was going to be crucified, and knowing his sacrifice never stopped humans from being cancer? I don't know if you say, what you talking about, killing a people group? Would Jesus have killed a people group? Is that what you're saying? I mean, because you see them as a threat, or you see them as second-class citizens, or see them not even as, I don't believe in genocide at all of any type of people. So I don't really know how that fits, but it kind of brings up the notion, would you kill baby Hitler? If you knew that was baby Hitler was going to do what he did, would you take him out as a baby? Maybe that's what you're saying. I don't know. But no, I don't think Jesus would have did that. I think Jesus would have did what he did, because he was the king of the Jews, and he hated his own certain people in front of church selling out for money. I don't think he hated those people, man. I think he hated the spirit behind it, and it was something. It's symbolic for one, but it's that whole deal was concerning sacrifice. And if I will maybe try to relate this back to what we were talking about today, even with who are the real gatekeepers of spirituality, who are the real protectors of spirituality, of ufology, and people who have had legit encounters, right? And you just let these, like, we've cried over this, we've fasted over this, we've prayed over this, we've been persecuted over this stuff, and it's the real deal. And so it means something to us. And so you just let a foreign outside person come in, take over. They're just nonchalant about it, and quite literally they're presenting false information, right? Is that what kind of what we were looking at, the whole Corey Goode type stuff? So essentially, that's kind of what that whole Jesus thing there was, with him throwing the money changers out of the temple. This was something where they had to come to the temple to bring their sacrifices, right? Your sacrifice is symbolic about something that means something to you, that you brought to God to offer as a sacrifice. And so these people were coming for Passover, coming for these different festivities, and they were selling you sacrifices outside the temple. You get there, hey, you don't have your sacrifice? Here, take this turtle dove, sacrifice it. Hey, take this goat, take this lamb, offer it. And you just buying it at the door. Then they're flipping money and doing all of this stuff in the temple, which God's house is a house of prayer. That's what Jesus said when he flipped the tables. And so that's what it was about. You can't just show up with and bring something that's not of that doesn't mean something to you, whether it's sacrifice, right? And spiritually speaking, your sacrifice is the things that you bring to God. Like you can't show up empty-handed. You have to bring something. Romans talks about how we are a living sacrifice, that our lives are literally a sacrifice before the Father. And so everything that we do and the things that we're bringing in and we try to offer to God, we talked about this on the last episode, that fire consumes it and fire burns this stuff up. And the fire is what consumes the sacrifice on the altar, and the fire of God is the Holy Spirit. So there was a reason that he had this righteous anger. I think we all should have this righteous anger, right? I mean, people look at us coming in from the outside or whatever, and they think, they have that towards us. They think that we're bringing in new ideas, or, hey, he said occult. He had an occultist on his show. That's not of God. So they're acting with this righteous anger. I think it's because they don't know any better, but in their mind, they're doing the right thing. They're trying to protect their flock. They're trying to protect what it is that they've worked so hard to build. So I think it's very similar when Jesus running those people. I just had enough of it, man. He said, look, it's my Father's house. Y'all turned it into a house of trade. Let me go back to these questions right quick. Yeah, so Christy Lee's broadcast is Tap In, Tune In. You can go to tapintunein.com, and it's on Blog Talk as well. Just tap in, tune in. Let me read some of these. Thieves in the temple tonight. Love come quick. That's what Occult Priestess says about Prince lyrics. Yeah, so yeah, that's pretty much it. Everybody's out just chatting. It looks like Kenny says had to buy the temple coins first because Roman money was not for the temple, then buy stuff with the new temple coins. Yeah, they muddied up the waters, and that's why Jesus had to come. It's okay, this y'all sacrifice. I'm finna show y'all sacrifice. We're finna put an end to all of this sacrifice. And so Jesus became the sacrifice. Well, you didn't have to buy those type of animals and sacrifice that blood. That his blood was the recompense for sin. That his blood satisfied the wrath of God. And so yeah, that's what the gospel is about. So yeah. With that, I think I'm going to say peace and shalom, man. I really enjoyed this episode. If you'd like to support, I encourage you to support. I couldn't do it without you. We definitely are listener funded, and I couldn't do this without the support. So thank you guys again from the bottom of my heart for all of you who have been supporting. Even if I don't call your name out like every episode, you guys know who I'm talking about, man. I really appreciate you guys and what y'all that you believe in my work enough to spend your hard-earned money and support me. So, but you get a lot of cool stuff. It's not just money's just not being wasted. You get my entire discography, 200 plus songs. Some good stuff in there. There's some whack stuff. There's some really silly songs in there. I think when I first started, some people, those songs are their favorite. So we just can't, throw the baby out with the bathwater. Some people love that early stuff, but it's there. Patreon.com/TruthSeekah. And there you get access to all the stuff. And the Thursday Night School of the Mystics, you get access to that too, for any size donation. So I really appreciate the help over there. So Murderer says, you have a rainbow pony back there. Nice gift. That's my daughter's, man. Yeah. Not my daughter's. I'm sorry. That's my wife's. She had that since she was a child back in the 80s. And so yeah, she's got that to remind her of her childhood. I've got E.T. back there too. He reminds me that demons take human form as little green men. No, I'm joking. E.T. reminds me of I've got all those old alien movies, man. Cocoon. There were some beautiful alien movies before. They were all about abduction and ripping your skin off and poking holes in your eyeballs. There were some beautiful movies. Look at the movie Cocoon. Look at the movie Flight of the Navigator, which I've named a song after. Close Encounters of the Third Kind, I believe it is. Maybe it's the fourth. For some reason, I get those numbers mixed up. I think it's third kind. I don't know. Check it out. But yeah, all of this stuff, it just acts as symbols, man, that reminds us of things. That's why we create logos and symbols and use colors to evoke emotion. And I'll say this too, because this was kind of weird, but I got a friend of mine. I've done some music with him. I'm not going to say his name, but he's seen one of his friends who watches the podcast said, man, you should be doing what TruthSeekah's doing, man. You should be having your own podcast and putting out your music like he does and building your audience and all this kind of stuff. And he checked it out and he's like, man, that's even the same colors you would use. And TruthSeekah's using your colors and your symbols and all that stuff. And the dude hit me up and it was kind of weird, almost like it was like accusatory a little bit. It's like, hey, man, you using my colors. It's like, man, these colors and these symbols and things, man, that's something we all resonate with. Like purple and blue, something about these colors and spiritual and creativity. And people use this stuff. So, I don't know, it was kind of weird. It felt like I took it from him or something. And it hasn't even had nothing for me to look at to take. So it was kind of weird. But, yeah, if something calls to you, man, you gotta do it. If you believe in it, it takes blood, it takes sweat, and it takes tears. Literally, I believe that is the magical concoction over this stuff. Blood, sweat, and tears. Whatever that means. Like you have to cry, weep over it, believe for it. I've literally mixed all of those together. Blood, sweat, and tears. At some point to take me to this place of seeing dreams fulfilled. Don't give up on it. Don't let somebody else take it from you. Use that magical concoction, and there's nothing that's going to stop that. Blood, sweat, and tears. Hard work always pays off. Consistency. I'm telling you. I know we hear it all the time, but blood, sweat, and tears is the concoction. It is a alchemical practice. I believe it. And if you believe in it, you fight for it. You build it. Don't let nobody take it from you. You create the life. You create the reality that you want for yourself. And if that's all you heard today, that's all you need to hear. Create that stuff. Get out there and make it happen. If it's a song, if it's a picture, if it's a painting, if it's a company, if it's a podcast, whatever it is, create it. There's ways to do it. And I've said this too. I don't see how anybody is broke. I don't see how anybody is struggling to fulfill their dreams and to do what they want with their life, because we all have these little magical devices right here called cell phones. These are like little computers, man. There's a calculator on there. The world is at your fingertips. And I've joked about this with people, but anything you can think of, you can start a YouTube channel, get ad revenue, and do it for a living. If you're consistent, if there's blood, sweat, and tears, and you believe in it, you can't just do it and for like a week and like, oh, no, I didn't get no subscribers. If you believe in it, you can build it. The consistency shows that you really want it. I have so many friends who are real creative and they have all these crazy ideas, and they'll change ideas every week. One day they'll be selling herbs in Nicaragua, if I said that right. The next week they'll be selling CBD oil online. The next week they'll be doing this and doing that. And there's just something every week. And you find yourself being the jack of all trades, but then master of none. Right? But with this, and this is just a symbol. You don't have an excuse, man. Whatever you can think of, and hopefully you can think outside the box and you have dreams and ideas. You want to start a podcast? There's a podcast app you can download. You can speak it. It'll, for an hour, 2 hours, get guests on, call somebody on the phone. You can record the conversation, upload it to YouTube, and hopefully you have something that's entertaining. Hopefully you have something that helps somebody, or whatever the case is. Or there's people who use their platforms for destruction, for just gossiping and talking slander and telling fart jokes and things like that, and they have 20,000 listeners. Trust me, I know those podcasts and stuff. But hopefully you're building something that's going to help people, and you all have the ability to do that. You can start a YouTube channel, you can start a blog, you can put ads on there, you can get eyes to it. Every one of you can do that. There's nobody who can't do that with a phone. Oh, I don't have the time, I don't have this, I don't know what to do. That's up to you, man. Do you want it bad enough? Because I tell you this, there's somebody right behind you or beside you who wants it, maybe even more than you. There's somebody who would love to sit behind this microphone. There was someone who would love to have my setup and have the knowledge on how to run this stuff, and they would freely take it and run with it. So how bad do you want it? You build it, you create it, brand it. Do something today. Plant a seed today that's going to grow tomorrow. It might not grow tomorrow. Tomorrow you're probably going to have to water it. And it's like you're going to have to pull the weeds from around it. Make sure the weeds don't choke it out. Make sure you don't plant it in the middle of a bunch of rocks. It has to be able to take root. Plant that seed. Do something today. That seed today may be an email. That seed today may be creating a logo, starting a blog, buying a .com. Go to GoDaddy.com. Type in whatever word you want to brand. Please brand all of your stuff under the same thing. I got friends out there who they have a MySpace, they have a Facebook, they have a YouTube, they have a Twitter, and they have an Instagram and a website, and all of them are different names. Have it one thing: TruthSeekah.com, TruthSeekah on Instagram, TruthSeekah on Facebook, TruthSeekah on MySpace, TruthSeekah. Type in TruthSeekah, and you're gonna find me. And shout out to Core Occult Priestess, because if you type in Occult Priestess, she's coming up. If you go to Google and type that in, she's coming up. So branding is a part of it. All of these little things, man. All of these things. Occult Priestess, I'm reading the chat. She does do private sessions, so make sure y'all go check out her stuff and support people that you believe in, man. It's good stuff. Love y'all, man. There's everything's out there. So anyway, I'll see y'all tonight on the School of the Mystics, 7 p.m. Central. We'll do it. I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be good. So with that being said, I'm going to say peace and shalom, and we'll do it again. Peace.
Your will so much higher than mine, so much higher than mine. Your so much deeper than mine, so much deeper than mine.
Well, that does it for this episode, folks. To hear more episodes of the TruthSeekah podcast, head over to TruthSeekah.com. And if you're wanting to support the show and get rewards, go to our Patreon page at patreon.com/TruthSeekah.
Also, guys, really quick, I was also told to plug the Discord community. We got people who want to hang out with you there, and I'm one of them. Go to the description, and there'll be a link that says Discord. You can download it on your phone, and you can also download it on your computer. And that's the community aspect that we're building here. So join our